Who knows where they can go? Well, we can tell which maps they're going to be playing on, if that is of any interest. I guess it is.
A little bit.
Massive interest. Give it to me.
Thanks so much. There it is. Best of 3 series. Ban, pick, ban, and then a decider. Villa first, Café Dostoyevsky, and Theme Park as decider. Now, that is a very, very spicy pick ban. Des, I see you holding on. Go ahead.
I absolutely love it because they've basically picked the other's best map. G2, I think, have played Villa 4 times this season. Café's been played by Virtus.Pro 2 or 3 times. It seems really weird when you look at it on paper they choose to go to this, but I think when you start unraveling the recent form on these maps, G2 struggled a little bit, I believe. Against Tempera, they drew against them, and they only just beat Secret in their final Villa game of the season. So I imagine Virtus.Pro are looking at this and saying, you know what, Villa? We don't think you're so hot on that. We think we can take that map away from you. And maybe it's a similar story on Café, because equally, the side of Virtus.Pro only beat Chaos and Secret there and lost to, I believe it was BDS. So although it's their most played map, equally not a super hot record. G2 are clearly fancying their chances here. So they're not going in with what's our strongest. They're going in with what we think is your weakest. It's really interesting.
You know, the crazy thing is, because Virtus.Pro picked the map, it's up to G2 to pick the side. They picked the tack.
That's what I'm worried about most of all. It's very, very ballsy. I'm not going to lie.
Oh my God.
But the thing is, okay, if you're looking at Café as well, we obviously saw it yesterday in the hands of the showdown there, and it was a 7-2 against Rogue in the hands of VP. It was a really good showing on that map. They've obviously, and we've already talked about what goes on behind the scenes for G2. They're going into this as educated as you can. This is in no way an accident. It's a meticulous 5D chess plan that Shasin, maybe in Hassan's fantasies, is wearing a Mercy costume whilst playing 5D chess. But they have this strat laid out. They know what they're working on, and they believe that they can make sure their heroes never die. If the change here is you think you can take what was a very ferocious performance against what is a great team on Café, good luck is all I'll really say. Good luck. I'm excited to watch it.
Okay.
I need to see Theme Park. Need to see it. Because Virtus.Pro also haven't played it. Like, they've banned it 3 times. It's one of the maps that they've been hiding. I need to see it. It's got to be 3 maps, Milos. It has to be.
I very much hope so. G2's Theme Park is actually pretty effective. So it's a very good measurement to see how good VP on it if they go and play against G2 there. But let's see what you guys thought about this game at home. Remember, you can vote on all of our games. They're going on our social media at R6 Esports EU. Follow us on Instagram, all of that sort of stuff at R6 Esports, and hashtag us with 6Major to show your tweets on the stream. 87% to G2, 30% for Virtus.Pro. A lot of Pengu fanboys and girls that are sitting in chat probably going for this one. Completely understandable. But I like holding people accountable. So let's just open it up with the entire talent team and see what everybody voted for.
I could guess.
G2, I'm so sorry.
Geo looks so beautiful.
Geo...
Oh God, 5 Geos kill me.
Everybody went for G2. All right, I guess. I need my percentage to go up because I'm tied with Fluke right now.
Okay, not that bad. I can say one thing about this though. The last time that we all decided that Virtus.Pro were gonna lose, they won, and that was all of us.
Isn't that always the case? When we always predict and we all double down on one team, they always lose.
So maybe it's the fact that it's all of us. Maybe it's just the fact that a certain person sat over there is the one that's bringing this cruel fate upon potential G2. We know who to blame. Not the rest of us, though.
I'm just seeing 2 greens underneath my name, so I think I'm okay at the minute.
Failed this.
I don't know what you guys are talking about because I usually just blame Hap for everything wrong in my life. So I'm just gonna continue sticking with that. Ace, I see you there sitting all nice and pretty in your beautiful shirt today. G2, yeah.
G2 for me, I think so. If we look at what happened yesterday, G2 came up against a side that really struggled, I think, in that Theme Park matchup, and it just put them on the back foot. But then we saw Consulate, and we saw how good BDS were second time around on Consulate, and the fact that G2 were able to sort of demolish them on there as well just makes me think they've shown us more than Virtus.Pro so far. If you look at the Rogue side that Virtus.Pro went up against, struggled much more yesterday than BDS, and so for me, we've seen better from G2 than we have of Virtus.Pro. It's them that need to step up here.
All right, all of that said, I think it's time for us to get in. Gio, we'll let you rest for this first game as you are definitely praying for G2 in this matchup. we'll see you later on. But for everybody else, it's time to get into game number 1, our upper bracket semifinal. It's Virtus.Pro versus G2. Who knows who this will go to, but we're going to Villa, and it's G2 on the attack. Very ballsy plays. Let's see how it plays out. Casters, all yours.
Welcome everybody then to the August Major upper bracket final. I am Ace of Pyrite and joined by the wonderful Stein Happers today.
So actually, you pronounced it really well. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I've been trying, I've been trying.
Good. You know, it's that. Okay, so that's the hardest part of my esports history. Explaining my first name. So, I mean, we got over that part now. But yes, it's going to be a very exciting first map, and I think a lot will come down to the actual operator bans, considering G2 starting out on the attack. Would they want to bring in Monty, for example? It has been highlighted before on the analyst desk. Well, we'll have to wait and see whether or not it will come through that ban phase. But otherwise, I'm sure of it that Pangu will be utilizing it.
Heading right on over to Tuscany then, we go to the Villa for our first map here between G2 and Virtus.Pro. Big wins for both of these teams yesterday, and they will be looking to catapult themselves into that grand final with a 1-map advantage and one step closer to winning the big bucks and winning those 6 invitational qualification points. The all-important 285-point bonus for taking the top spot here at the August EU Major. And in comes that Monty ban. You called it, Hap. We have the target, but will G2 target Goyo? Are we going to have both going off the board?
We have seen, statistically speaking, if the Goyo gets removed, often VP seems to be struggling. As the Nomad comes out first, often a Valkyrie will follow, but I think that G2 has a different plan here. And indeed, the Goyo gets removed. So we have a counterban on each side right here. G2 not allowed to use that shield, but we have seen that they are very competent of actually playing without the Monty shield. However, VP, as soon as that Goyo gets removed, they start to struggle a bit on some of these sites. So they really have to have their B plan ready. As the Goyo got removed, especially AVGs and sites where they often use it to stop default plants, to stop the attackers from moving into Aviator. It's now going to be a bit harder to hold.
Well, there's an interesting argument up to make in both directions here. We've seen G2 play Villa 4 times during the regular season. 88% win rate, unbeaten. That's the fact. They picked up a draw, and they struggled to a couple of those wins, but they got them over the line. Now, the big question there is, you've just said they've got a plan A, they've got a plan B, they've got a plan C, and I totally agree with you. We've seen massive amounts of variety out of G2 here on Villa, but given that they've played it 4 times, there's plenty of information out there as well. So Virtus.Pro, they have no excuse here but to be prepared. You have to be prepared for all of the 3 teams that you could face here at the Major. So I'm sure that the homework has been done on the defensive side particularly to know exactly what G2 may do, to know what their first option, second option and third option may well be. So it's interesting. It could play either way. We could see a very well prepared VP team here, or will we see G2 with even more myriad strategies in the pocket ready to come out?
It's something we have to mention though, because we know that, for example, Rogue perfectly counted off BDS back in the regular season, but since there is 4 weeks in between the end of Play Day 9 and the start of this mini-major, there is plenty of time to innovate your strategies, change things up, and just make sure that all the preparation that your opponents have done is going to be useless. Pasha goes out for an aggressive spawn peek straight away. We'll be taking down Uno. It's a good start for VP. Let's see if they can keep that up.
Massive from Pasha there. We saw it from him yesterday on, I think it was Oregon. He ran out of the rear stage door and just started that explosive start for Virtus.Pro, coming in and just getting them a massive take to begin with. Now, we've got a slight technical issue there, so you're going to come back to me and Hap for the time being, but we'll find out very soon. I think we've actually got a game crash is what I'm getting fed back to me now, so fear not, do not panic, Hap. We are not going to miss round 1. We're going to see everything. We will have to replay the start of that, and that is, well, I assume that is obviously what will happen if the game's crash. We've got not much of another option. Shame for Pasha there, and a shame for Virtus.Pro.
That's the thing though, sometimes it does not get replayed due to competitive integrity, so it's going to be a question to the admins to see what happens there. But indeed, like, they got that spawn peek in, managed to open up straight away. And well, we can touch a bit more upon the fact that what we mentioned before. G2 has played Villa plenty of times. VP could be prepared, but how much of that information will be useful since there has been 4 weeks since the regular season? Basically, there was no tournaments in between, as it is basically just this European and global circuit right now. So how much can they use of those 4 times that G2 played it?
That's the question. Now, a little bit of further information for you. Obviously, we're just getting this as I'll try to pass it across to you as we get it. I believe it's just the Observer game that has crashed. So we will be getting medics back in there as soon as possible. I believe the game is ongoing at the minute. We will bring you any updates as we have them, but we will also be getting back in there as quickly as possible. And for me, as much as we are missing things, I think you've got to make an argument to say that that's not really the end of the world with Virtus.Pro coming out and having that huge start, and for that to just be taken away, because you don't get away with that a second time. You sort of think, that would be a shame, really. Obviously, Pasha there taking a big risk, but also reaping the reward from it. Big start, and G2, they're going to certainly know that they're in for a game at this point.
It really sets the tone, doesn't it? If you just run out the first very 10 seconds of the match, of this whole series, and you're already getting down that spawn peak onto the entry fragger of G2, it's really going to be setting the tone right here. G2 know they're in for an aggressive first half, and they know they have to, answer that with their own aggression as well. So I think we're going to be in for some explosive rounds and some explosive plays.
I agree. I think that's probably exactly what they've set us up for here. How do you deal with aggression? Quite often, especially if you're on the attack and it's aggression from the defenders, you just have to match it with aggression, because on the attack you don't have the freedom of the clock. You don't have that time to be able to think, right, let's just slow everything down, because all you do is you just pile everything up. All those jobs, all those ticks you've got to add to the list, they all go to the end of the round, and then you find yourself rushing into sites with 10-15 seconds on the clock, and it just starts to mount up and get on top of you. So quite often the method to deal with defensive aggression is to just come out all guns blazing on attack, and they'll be trying to send in players like Citizen and Kanto and Uno to just go in and really open up on those entry kills. And whilst yes, it's a great start to round one from Pasha for Virtus.Pro, it could be a little bit like hitting a hornet's nest with a stick cap, and it's not something I would recommend, because G2 might just come out angry and aggressive from that.
I remember that moment at the EOC back when BDS was playing, and I believe it was Virtus.Pro as well. They just said they said goodnight to Shiker or something, and he activated that moment in time. He was like, all right, you're gonna BM me, I'm gonna go hard on you as well. But yeah, like it's often a discussion we have, that what do you do against aggression? Well, if you're on the defense, as you said before, you either go really passive or you go super aggressive to match that aggression. No in between, because as soon as you go in that in between area, it's going to be game over for you. And the super passiveness works, as you said before as well. The clock is on your side. You have those 3 minutes that can count down slowly. So not peeking anything, forcing them to walk into your traps, into your favorite battlegrounds is going to be helpful. But on the attack, you don't have that case, because if you wait for too long, you wait for them to go back to side, and suddenly you want to approach and attack in these last dying seconds. Or what if they have a Legion, for example? You're going to be stumbling across all these goo mines, which is going to be slowing you down. There's no way you're going to be able to get a plan down. There's still going to be yokai drones available, C4s, gas canisters. So that means you need to put the pressure on from this first very second on the attack, because otherwise all that utility is not going to be your friend.
No, it's certainly not, and that could be something that Virtus.Pro potentially use to their advantage. It may be a line of their thinking to think, actually, right, we've come out, we've had that explosive start, so we're going to lead into further rounds now by bringing the Legion, by bringing those trap operators. We're going to assume here that G2 are going to match aggression with aggression, and they could well plan for it. And it's all about that game of that multi-layer chess, isn't it? It's all about counter to counter to counter, and how that is going to play out. Now, for me, looking at the whole fixture map, looking at all three maps, I sort of think that Villa could be particularly pivotal here. I know that they've been chosen by the opposite teams to what we might expect. We might have thought that a Villa choice would come out from G2, but they've gone for Cafe. We saw Virtus.Pro very good on Cafe against Rogue yesterday, but obviously we still have a question mark against the Rogue team that we saw yesterday. So maybe we don't see quite as dominant a performance on Cafe from Virtus.Pro, but I really feel, after what we saw from G2 on Theme Park, very little time for Virtus.Pro to prepare for that. I have to edge that one to G2. So I sort of feel that Villa is very, very important for Virtus.Pro.
Well, Villa is very important for Virtus.Pro, but I read that G2 actually won that round, and that means that they are going to be 1-0 up. It's a defense-sided map, already one attack in, even with a spawn peak going up to them. And that means round number 2 is upon us. Trophy Statuary is the one that VP will opt to play. The castle getting 6 picked in. There'll be some interesting strategies to come out here. Are they going to be locking themselves up in walk-in closet, for example, or extend themselves into the master bedroom, or are these castle barricades being used to defend AVGs and have that little bit southern, well, expedition to the map with your defensive side?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a really interesting strategy for defending this site in LATAM recently. If Medics is showing us the closet there, that's perfect, and the triple wall as well. So where a mission has just reinforced now, generally speaking, that would be left soft. The middle panel of the triple wall, thank you Medics, would be reinforced, and the one to the right would be reinforced, and they'll play usually a defender like a doc in behind there, somebody with an ACOG basically, and then they will have a man in the closet as well. And the player with the ACOG, the doc for argument in my example, his entire job is to stay behind that middle reinforcement and to just peek through that long angle, through the single door and in towards that window. They put open holes up in the bathroom wall as well to allow for that, and he just keeps an angle on that window, and then it means the player in closet, all they have to do is fight towards master, and it's actually proven really effective. I've seen 2.5 minutes wasted of teams trying to get established in master and not being able to do it. Now it looks like G2, they're going to take an opposite. There we go. Uno coming in and getting the return. How about that immediate response from Uno onto that aggression from Pasha?
They were still setting up, 2 minutes 30 in the round already, and well, you know that G2 is going to be responding with aggression after you just spawn peeked them, and it's exactly what happened. You know, able to pick up on that kill there is going to be launching them as, unfortunately, I think we're having a bit of a freeze again.
It certainly looks like we're having some troubles. So Medics today, it's unusual. He's usually quite fortunate with these things, but there we go. We will get everything back up and running as soon as possible. I think what's happening, Hap, is that the game is obviously just having a meltdown at all this early round aggression that we're seeing. So we have Pasha come in with the big opener, and then Uno manages to get himself one back in round 2, and we've got this real battle commencing between the two of those players particularly. But G2 managing to come out successful in round 1 despite the man disadvantage. Attacking onto Trophy Statuary now, they've got themselves at 5v4, so if they get themselves a second round on the board on attack, then, you know, for me things are looking very good, and they're heading into a cafe that they've chosen. Could be a tough day at the office for Virtus.Pro.
Very well be a tough day indeed, and they know themselves as well. We have to show up here on Villa because we saw how G2 was dominating yesterday onto Team Park. It's not really a place where they want to go, and they also know Cafe is going to be tough, so they're really going to get their rounds in. And of course, if G2 only managed to get 2 attacking rounds, there's no, you know, big issue arising here, because a 2-4 split, a 4-2 split, however you want to call it, is quite normal for these kind of matches, but you don't want the 2 rounds to be the first 2 rounds you play, because that's going to be putting a lot of pressure on you for the remainder of that half, knowing that if you lose any more, G2 is going to be the team that has the best papers really to go into the second half for this matchup. And I don't know if Virtus.Pro is going to be able to deal with that if that's the case.
It's going to be very difficult for them, especially with G2 coming out strong on attack. If they get this second round and they head in 2-0 and they're only 1 away from an even split there. If we look at the stats for EUL Stage 1 so far, Villa played 9 times, 57% defensive win rate. So heading into G2's defence, if they're hitting the shots, you're going to expect them to take more than half of the rounds there. So for argument's sake, let's put a 4-2 on the board for G2. A 3-all split here, which if they take the second round, they are 2/3 of the way towards. That's going to win them the map. Simple as that. They're then just going to be able to play out their game. 2 wins in AVG, 2 wins in Trophy Statuary. They don't need to worry about the tertiary site, and they get themselves the map advantage. And as I say, between Cafe, which is G2's choice, and Theme Park being the decider, which we saw G2 absolutely electric on yesterday, for me, that becomes, it's not just an uphill battle for Virtus.Pro, that's an uphill icy hill. They are going to be slipping up and down trying to get back up there, because it is going to be so tough for them.
I'm just trying to think of what would happen now, because you lose out one of your players really early on here in AVGs. There's going to be yet another one, but he's going to be meeting 4 players of G2 if you quickly looked at that setup. If he falls quickly, and will all depend on that, if he dies within the next minute after our crash happened, it's going to be looking pretty dire for VP. And then I wouldn't say, you know, it's just unlucky gunfights, because if G2 is going to be able to get 2 in a row, even though they were a man down during the first round, it's going to be a bit upsetting to them, I would say. So VP definitely, well, needing to get their heads in the game quickly if that's the case. I'm not sure what is going on, of course, if it's just G2 completely overwhelming them, because this is a different G2 compared to what we've seen in the regular season. I think we have to mention that. Of course, Virtus.Pro also stepped up their game. They were 7 points short of number 1, 6 points short of number 3. They showed up, they took down Rogue. Now they're up against G2, but G2 definitely showing some good form here.
As I said just before coming into the game, when we were talking about all the sort of predictions that we've done there, for me, if we look at the day yesterday, G2 played the better team. I mean, BDS directly beat Rogue and went through into that lower bracket matchup, and they are waiting for the loser of this game. But for me, overall, just looking at the play that was on show yesterday, BDS were the better team. They came out with the better performances than Rogue, not just directly head-to-head, but also what they showed us against G2. And Uno said that in the interview himself. He said that BDS actually, as much as it looked like it was quite a clear-cut win, the rounds that they won against G2, they just dominated them. There was absolutely nothing that G2 could do to respond. And so BDS, for me, had the better showing. So Virtus.Pro, yes, got themselves a good win against Rogue. They were taken to all 3 maps, but it was a Rogue team that were not as sharp. They were not as efficient as what we have seen through the regular season. So, as I said coming into it, for me, there are bigger questions hanging over Virtus.Pro and their performance. And was it as good as maybe it appeared? Or was it that they came up against Rogue at the right time? And now they're playing a G2 side, which actually dominated a very good BDS side. I give the edge to G2 for that reason.
Oh, G2 just won the second round as well, Tim. So far, so well for them, as they managed to lead 2-0 now on Villa. That is definitely the upper edge that they would like to have. Trying to, of course, get back into that game as soon as possible to catch the actual action. Well, we cannot even do a radio broadcast now, can we?
Yeah, we're not withholding anything. We don't have start of the game either. We've just had the information passed to us that it's gone 2-0 G2. We're getting everybody back in the lobby. We'll get everybody sorted and we'll get the game back up and running very, very shortly. I know Medics is working hard to resolve any issues that he's experienced, so hopefully it will be plain sailing from here on out. Like I say, now at 2-0. I mean, Virtus.Pro, do they stick with the sight hap? Do they go for trophy statuary again? Or defensively now, do they move to AVG? It's a bit of a risk for me, because they failed in Kitchen, they failed in trophy statuary. If you're losing aviator games and you have a complete rotation without a win defensively on Villa, that's going to be a massive blow psychologically.
That would be a massive blow, but do you want to go back to trophy statuary? Of course, we haven't seen the round, so we don't know what actually went wrong and what they can change. But what we did see was that entry kill to kill them down. They were still setting up at 2 minutes 30, into the action phase, 30 seconds into the action phase. I have to say, and that, gives G2 the opportunity to respond quickly. Maybe if you change your setup a little bit, be a bit quicker about it, you're going to be able to save that first entry death and make sure that you're going to be finding a 5v5 for these 3 minutes of the round instead of a 4v5. So, the one thing that we saw, we can maybe give them a bit of a point on. You can improve it like this. The question is, will they feel the same way, or are they going to be indeed swapping sites to go over to AVGs, or maybe even back to Dining Kitchen?
I mean, the thing that quick kill from Uno suggests as well to me when I think about it is that G2, they've got a plan and they are going to see it through. That seems to be the mentality there, because Uno's approached the building quickly in round 1 and he's lost his life for it. Hasn't stopped him in round 2. He's approached the building just as quickly and he's caught Basher out, as you say, on the preparation still. So for me, that says G2, they know what they want to do, they know what they want to bring to the table, and they are going to continue with that sort of aggression regardless of what Virtus.Pro throw at them, especially when they then come out and win the round short-handed. That is massive for them, and as you say, the next site choice is going to be an interesting one for Virtus.Pro.
the next side or the next round just period is going to be a very important one for Virtus.Pro. Not just an interesting choice, but if they will lose this as well, that would mean G2 is up 3-0, and if they decide to go for a full rotation, the rotation has been busted by G2. Yes, of course, you know how they will be attacking. Yes, that means you can adapt actually to whatever you would like to fight against. But still, like, if they do not manage to win this round, they're going to be in for a very rough already, considering what the scoreline would be looking like. And knowing how G2 is, you know, competent on their defensive rounds as well, we can say, it is definitely going to be tough. So the next round is not just going to be an interesting one in terms of side pick, but also a very important one for the actual match flow.
Oh, it could be this. I don't want to, you know, paint it too early and say that the game's going to be over in the third round. It never is. It's never over until there's 7 on the board, or, you know, even then, sometimes not even 7. Sometimes you've got to get to that 8 marker to get it finished off when you get pushed into overtime. But it is not over until it's over. But right now, Virtus.Pro coming out and being pushed around and being bullied on their defensive half on what should be the stronger for them of this map is not going to be a good starter for them. And heading into Cafe, you've just then got to think, is that going to leave them broken spirited if, you know, they come out of here? Let's be honest, if it goes 3-0, which I believe I've just been passed now, that it did go 3-0 to G2. They went to Aviator Games, so that is now a complete rotation of sort of primary, secondary and tertiary sites that have been cleared out attackingly by G2. That's a massive start for them. That is a massive, massive leap, because we could be heading towards a 7-1, 7-2 here. And if that happens going into Cafe, I don't think we're going to see the same Virtus.Pro that we saw yesterday on there.
I don't think they will, and that is going to be putting up for BDS, of course. They will be going up right against them after this without little too much of a break, so there's not going to be that much time for them to prepare for BDS, especially mentally, considering you just had a 7-1, 7-2. If that will be the case going up against you. If you would be losing out 2-0, that is going to be a very mental hit, and BDS is looking at this and thinking, yes, G2, keep on punching at them, because that is going to be helping us so much in this upcoming match, and we'll put us maybe up to the finals against you. But we're finally back in. It's going to be 3-0, as you see. G2 leading the charge. We're going back to Dining Kitchen, and that means a full rotation is upon us.
Fingers crossed, Hap, don't touch anything. We are going to see this one through now. I'm going to call it. I'm going to be optimistic. We're not going to have any further problems, and we're going to get to see all of this great action. G2 coming in. It looks just as hot as they were yesterday, taking the first 3 rounds here on Villa. If you've just joined us, we can tell you it's been a complete rotation of defensive sites for Virtus.Pro. They have been to Dining and Kitchen. They have been to Trophy and Statuary, and then to Aviator Games in round number 3. And G2, they have matched whatever has been put ahead of them. They have got this locked down at the minute.
All right. G2 indeed. Very commanding lead so far. Of course, we cannot say anything of these KDs. We don't know who's doing well. We don't know who is doing badly. For all we care about is that it will be a 0-0. But G2 just has that starting advantage. Let's treat it as such.
Headed
all right.
to round at number 4 then. We are going to be going to Dining and Kitchen once again. So generally speaking, on the attack, we would expect to see those attacking teams use a combination of vertical and lateral play here. They're going to look to get themselves up above and get some control of that top floor. More than likely, they've got Uno with the destructive grenades of the Zofia, and that will allow them, along with Kanto potentially in those breaching charges, to open up a few vertical angles. But the important thing with Kitchen and Dining is to have a few players able to attack horizontally at the same time. So coming on the same floor, which is what we are seeing, because once those defenders start moving round inside, you want to have people in line ready to kill them. Now, interestingly, G2 look like they are actually forgoing that top floor option. They're looking to just push directly onto site here.
You do not always have to have that top floor control as long as you are feeling confident going horizontally. As I already took down one of the evil eyes, surely soon they will be knowing of the position of WTG. Just quickly checking his cardiac sensor. Not going to be able to get too much information out of it. Citizen just waiting on that sensor scanner as well, just hoping to actually get a spot out to the pulse. Right now, G2 is playing the waiting game, hoping someone will be moving a bit too aggressively for them, so they can pick them up. Just a wrong rotation to come in. They know someone is downstairs, a Citizen. Keeps on wall banging, pre-firing it, I have to say. So far, they have no joy. They cannot find a single one.
You can see Shockwave there just holding a close angle on that door. Pasha will open us up. It's just the battle of Pasha and Uno on the entry here. We get it in round 4 once again. This time, Virtus.Pro will come out on top of that battle. Rask taking some damage there in the living room. And right now, the pressure is being applied by G2, but these roamers are happy to stay in location. They are not really being moved away at the moment. Rask, WTG, they're on sort of a semi-roam. They are close to site, easy to return, but not being overly challenged, at least not too effectively at the moment, as they lose a little bit of health, but they are certainly still there fighting. Kanto, he's taken a few shots as well, and right now we can see we've got Pengu just holding that angle in towards site. He's going to start trying to burn any of that defensive utility that might get in the way, and right now the push certainly looks like it's coming from the pantry.
Will be coming down soon. Virtue, Pengu, both right here in pantry waiting as Kento starts things off, takes down a mission. Rask will be found as he was from below, try to play that hatch. WTG will be taken down as well. Shockwave now tries to get a response of his own. Does a little bit of damage onto Kento, but not enough to actually get the kill quite down. Pasha will do so, but instant response from Citizen. The plan is going down in the meantime. A Citizen will be found, but it's all up to Shockwave now. Will he be able to find his C4? No, he will not. Pengu finds the kill. It's G2 to win round number 4, and even though they had a lack of information, I have to say, Tim, because you saw them wondering about roamers potentially coming from the top floor, even though that was not the case, they still managed to win the round due to their executes being on point.
I think that's maybe something that Virtus.Pro suffered for a little bit there, not having any top floor presence whatsoever. I can only assume that G2 have gone in with the drones there and recognised that that is the case, and then decided we don't need to clear that top floor. It's not part of our plans to use vertical angles to get onto site, and let's be honest, they didn't need them. They got in there and got the kills anyway. So for me, Virtus.Pro, they were, as I commented, very close to site. The roamers that they had out there, I use roamers sort of loosely as a term. It was a semi-roam, really. We had the Pulse, we had the Maestro, just playing off away from site in a small extension, but very easily to return to site, and it just allowed G2 to focus on the site too much. They basically had 3 minutes to just focus on that 1/4 of the map, and when we look at Villa, it's one of the biggest maps that we've got. It's absolutely massive, and I think sometimes you've got to use that space, make yourself unpredictable, get out there, make it difficult for the attackers to focus on what they want to do. Put men on the top floor, put them underneath if you're on a top floor objective, and just waste some time. G2, there was no real time sink for them there whatsoever. They had all the time in the world.
And you're looking at the drones that G2 had the last round. Only one was available still on Pengu. All the other drones have died. If you had one guy or two people on the top floor, it would be so much more valuable, as they could be rotating around freely. There would not be a single, point of information. As, unfortunately, we are being haunted today.
It's not looking good for us today, is it? Medic's really struggling. I know we've had a PC restart, we've had all sorts going on, but he will be working hard to get that sorted. Don't you worry about it. Blinking, you're going to miss this one, Hap. 4-0 now to G2 on the attack, and they are showing that they've got all the answers to any questions that Virtus.Pro can possibly ask here.
They definitely did in that one round we did see. Even though they had little to none drones, still managed to basically pinpoint the current placements of those players. And looking back, why would that be? Maybe VP is playing a very static game, a game where they use the same positions over and over again. And if that's the case, you don't really need these drones if you know who's going to be playing where anyway. And that might be aiding them. So the drones would then be used to hunt down the 1 or 2 roamers that were there, get the information down on them, and then, you do not need drones if you know exactly where they will be. So it's still worrying though.
I think that static is a very good point that you make there, Hap. It's bang on the money for me, because if we look at what happened yesterday, let's think about the criticisms that we made of Rogue. And, you know, I use the word criticism loosely, but they struggled against Virtus.Pro, particularly on Cafe. And the areas that they struggled, we kept saying, was in the lack of aggression and commitment to challenges. The one that's springing back to me is when we had Amision and Pasha playing, Pasha in VIP, Amision on bar, playing onto the double window with the Alder, and we had Aces at the bottom of White Stairs, and he flashed in, he cleared some utility, but never aggressed into VIP, never chased that kill onto Pasha, and it allowed Virtus.Pro to have the advantage of those static angles and to just hold themselves in place. Amision picked up a couple of kills, absolutely no problem. But when being faced with a team like G2 who are willing to go in and take those gunfights, that style's not working anymore. And we know all too well that being static in Siege can well be your undoing very, very quickly. And given that that's a lot of what we've seen in small parts so far, we haven't seen too much of Virtus.Pro's play at the minute, so I will stand corrected if I'm wrong, but from what we've just seen there, particularly in round 4, it was a very static Virtus.Pro side who just wanted to get themselves set up. That's where they were going to play. They didn't want to get roamers off out into the map, in maybe underneath in the basement, up on the top floor, popping up and down staircases and making G2 guess. They just wanted to hold their angles, and it worked against Rogue because they didn't seem to attack with confidence, whereas G2, they're just going in and getting those kills. And as long as that continues to happen, G2 are going to keep winning because they're going to grow in confidence and win more of those gunfights. So for me, the change that needs to come from Virtus.Pro quickly is to get more mobile here. They need to get out on their own. They need to make a nuisance of themselves. Give G2 something to think about.
I'm just quickly thinking back at the setup. We had 2 players playing around the living room with the hatch being opened up. You know, that was so in case they would be receiving pressure, they could be dropping down, and that was indeed what we saw before. They want to go through that basement and use those hatches to try and put some pressure onto G2, but they read that perfectly, somehow were exactly aware of what was going to be happening, most likely due to the fact that they, of course, had someone watching the bottom of Astro stairs, so they wouldn't be able to get back up from there as soon as they dropped. So there's only one way they can really go in that moment in time, and that is going to be the hatch and the pantry staircase that they try to go up from. They got shut down trying to do so. That basically gave them a 2-man lead out of nowhere, and after that was 30 seconds left. You know what the 2 or 3 anchors are. You just take the one down in kitchen, you get yourself behind the kitchen counter, start that plant, and all you have to do at that moment in time is just hold. Make sure that that C4 doesn't fly over. It did not fly over because the player was taken down before he could even think of tossing that nitro cell. But still, 4-0 coming in right here. G2 absolutely dominating the likes of Virtus.Pro, and it's definitely not the plow that we saw yesterday going through Rogue.
It's not, you know, G2 have, as I say, been very dominant, much the same as we saw against BDS. This is looking, you know, I really try to avoid using the, you know, the G2 of old, the G2 we've come to know, the sort of dynasty team, but, you know, they are looking as dominant as we've seen them at points in the last 18 months, 2 years, where they are coming in, and they just seem to know everything that is going to be put in front of them, and they have a plan ready, and they execute it very well. And it certainly seems that a bit more time for this roster to come together, especially a fully competitive stage through the first stage of EUL, has done them an absolute world of good, and they are really starting to gel now. The communication seems to be there, they're reacting well to what's in front of them, and right now I'm sure the rest of the world are looking on at this G2 and thinking that is a scary prospect.
We have to say though, they always said they were a fan of best of 3s. They want to have these best of 3s, they like to play them. And I see right now they're 5-0 as well, but we are going to be tossing it to a small break to try and sort out the issues that are there, so we'll be back to you shortly.
Welcome back, everybody. You are joining me, Acepyra, and Hap once again. We are partway through the G2 Virtus.Pro map 1 of the upper bracket final here in the August Major for Rainbow Six Siege. We haven't, unfortunately, seen too much of it so far, Hap. We've had a few technical issues. We are working hard on getting those sorted for you. Believers, this is the last scenario that ourselves or production want either. We're trying to bring you the best show that we can, but unfortunately, those technical problems, computers being what they are, sometimes are just a little bit out of our hands. But Hap, to update everybody, I believe we are currently 5-0 to G2. This is turning into a stomp at this point.
It's starting to turn into a slaughterhouse right here, as well, 5-0 on the attack. Not really what you would like to go up against, and that means the last round of this half will be played right now. Is going to be the one that VP need to get that one round in. Of course, we've had to pause the game a little bit. Maybe VP had some time to talk and figure out what was actually going wrong. That means that they might be able to get back into the game right now. Otherwise, G2, if they manage to continue the current form, VP, where are you at?
Well, that's the real question now, Hap, is how do they get themselves back into this game? Where do you go from this? A 5-0 start against G2. Nothing that you have done so far seems to have worked. They've lost Aviator games twice. They've lost Kitchen and Dining twice. They've lost Trophy and Statuary, and they are now going to try that for their 6th and final defensive round. Now, not to pile on, not to add fuel to the fire, Virtus.Pro, but we have also seen a 57% defender win rate on Villa throughout the first stage of EUL. So that to me suggests that G2 can expect to win at least 4 of those rounds out of the 6 that they will get. And the way things are looking at the minute, honestly, I can't see them winning less than that. So it's big trouble for Virtus.Pro right now. I get the feeling that Villa may well already be out of their reach.
Could be out of their reach indeed, but we all know that there is 2 sides to a game of Siege, and that means that as soon as VP is going over to the attack, maybe they know something as well that completely shut down the likes of G2, as the X-Cars now will be used to open up on these windows. Huge jumper right there on the Astro window, I believe it was, will be stopping that set of X-Cars, so a breaching round will be utilized from Kanto, and that means they now have that bit of an opening on the northern side to get them that extra pressure as they try to force Shockwave out of that walk-in closet.
Now, interestingly, from what we saw of the last time they attacked this site, Hap, they were all G2 mounted up on that south side. So, again, coming into the game, I did comment on G2's variety here on Villa. The fact that they do have many different options. It was something you picked up on yourself as well. And it certainly seems that, once again, that is exactly what they are showing us here. They've got themselves in from the south side attack and they've been successful. They're now pushing the north side. They're getting into Master and really starting to work from that angle instead. And showing again a good mastery of doing so.
Shockwave has been taken out. I mean, the walk-in closet is now basically free to enter. The only thing that's stopping them is the smoke canisters that are being tossed in periodically by WTG. We're still alive, we're taking quite some damage. Ras now goes a bit aggressive, trying to hold on, but he's finding himself into a tough spot as he doesn't spot out the window on his right-hand side. Virtue is going to be able to pick him up, and that is going to be setting up G2 for an even bigger snowball to come down. Virtue with yet another kill. WTG to finally respond, but he'll be responded to himself as Kento takes him out. It's all up to Passion now. C4 will go up, but it will not detonate as Kento finishes him off. It's 6-0. G2 are here to go for a sweep.
G2 absolutely flying at the minute. There is nothing stopping them, not just here on Villa, not just here in this upper bracket final, but as it appears here in the August Major. They will just not have this title taken away from them right now. And I tell you what, coming into that grand final that they certainly look like they could be heading towards at breakneck speed here, Hap, whoever it is that plays off against them, they're going to have to bring something special. They are going to have to bring more than their A game to beat this G2 side, because they just look to have all the answers. But I've got to ask questions of Virtus.Pro. It would be remiss of me not to. What was Rask doing there, Hap? He just ran himself into Master Bedroom. I know that challenges have got to be made, but surely the call-outs are there that the windows are being played at that point. There was a crossfire established. He just ran into a kill box there. It was as if he seemed to give his life away.
I think this is a bit of a panic situation, right? Because he checked the window in the bathroom, that was clear. He checked the southern window of the master bedroom, I believe it was. No, the eastern one, sorry, excuse me. That one was clear as well, and he was like, maybe I can retake walk-in closet, because if he's going to be able to do that, suddenly G2 find themselves into a spot where they need to use utility again to try and clear them out, but they didn't have that anymore as they already used it onto Shockwave. So I get what he tried to do, just didn't check all the right angles, did not have the information to go for it, and thus was shut down. It allowed G2 to snowball in that round and, well, give them a flawless health, really, and set them up perfectly to clean this up with a 7-0, 7-1, or maybe 7-2 if they're very unlucky, and go up to map number 2.
It was certainly a bold move from Rask. I'll agree on that one with you, Happen. It just seemed like the reward wasn't really there for doing that. It's ultimately not paid dividends and got themselves 6-0 behind. Citizen, he's just playing himself off towards the Astro side there. So if we've got any sort of newer people who may not be familiar with the tax that you might see here onto Aviator Games, there's two options. You've got the south side approach, which would be very direct into study. We've seen the setup. Thank you, medics there. That's the study room. We've got Pengu off to your left there in the south side of corridor. He's going to try to hold down that area and prevent Virtus.Pro taking any control of study. The alternative to that is to push in from the opposite side of the top floor, and that's why Citizen is located over there on the Valkyrie, and he's going to look to pick up any of those roam clearers that look to come in, trying to get themselves a cheap entry frag from the north side.
Like this, G2 have themselves basically covered off perfectly as WTG decides to go for a flank watch. Might be someone coming down in the living room, as both are now watching that. Drones will be coming out shortly as well, just to find out that the one player that is there is just playing passively. I believe it is Cantor Ricchetti. Playing on that living room is going to be spotting out his head. Pre-fires will be coming in from WTG, but all he has to do is just stay passive. Let them come to you, waste as much time as you possibly can. And as he rotates that, it will just be missed by the G8 of WTG, who will survive and thus fight at a later stage in this round.
Nothing wrong from Cantor there, takes himself a couple of shots, but not the end of the world. He will trade that for a minute in time all day long. Now, that's a great nade coming in from Pasha, and a kill onto Pengu to clear out the south stairs better from Virtus.Pro now, and this is what they need. They need those talisman players, particularly Pasha, to be stepping up and trying to just drive them back into this game. They right now need to take every round one at a time. They can't worry about that scoreboard. They need to avoid looking up there to the top of the screen. They just need to start putting some numbers up. Get one and work from there. That's your toehold. And right now, they've got a mission. He's out on that south balcony. Shockwave is established in study now, and Rask and Pasha have complete control over the south area of that 90 corridor. Pasha shutting down Uno as well, and this is looking good so far. But a huge play here. Not huge enough. Citizen gets one onto Pasha, shut down as WTG also manages to take Canto out at the same time. They execute onto site, well timed from Virtus.Pro there, and are we just going to see a massively attacker-favoured day here on Villa?
It could be the case indeed. If Virtus.Pro can continue their current streak, if they can continue that one round and the momentum they had right there, they might be able to completely turn the tides around, but G2 is, of course, aware of this as well, and they will be going over to Trophy Stat Tree. They will be changing it up, just like VP tried to do, bringing out the Echo as well, just to make sure that plants are going to be a bit harder to go for, but as I say that, gets 6 picked out to a clash, which is very understandable for the current site. Most likely will be playing in the bathroom or in Astro, and basically completely denied said site.
I'm going to continue to put it on the line, Hap. I'm going to say that I'll be amazed if Virtus.Pro bring this back. It will go down as one of the classic map comebacks in all of Siege if they are able to pull this off. It is a huge ask, and that is a picture that I really want to paint for you, because you need to appreciate just how unlikely this is for Virtus.Pro, especially with the way G2 have been playing so far, because if they do get themselves back into this, if they get themselves back up to 4-6, 5-6, believe me, you are going to be peeling Hap and I off the roof, because the excitement will be unreal. It is a huge mountain for them to climb, but there is a long way before we get towards this looking realistic. Now, interestingly, I did comment on Virtus.Pro not playing a mobile enough defense here. They weren't playing with enough roamers for my liking. They weren't getting themselves far enough out into the map to try and waste time. They were just inviting the gunfights from G2 to take place, and G2 managed to win the majority of them. So now G2, they are playing with a heavier roam presence with Sim Virtue. He's out there in the mix somewhere, and I believe we've also got Cantor on the Jaeger that is going to be looking to make himself difficult. So we'll just see how that contrasting style plays out.
I like the fact that they reinforced the hatch there. Not sure if it's directly to counter an Amaru, just in case it would be brought by one of the players of VP. It's definitely going to be helpful. As will that hatch shot be from Pasha onto Kanto. Perfectly aware of what was going to be happening right there, and that means Virtus.Pro have taken care of one of those roamers. Didn't even have to hunt him down. Just a single tap through that window was enough to do the job. As Pasha right now taking control of the walk-in closet, opening up into the bathroom as well. G2 under heavy pressure.
All four now stacking up for Virtus.Pro there, as you can see on the master bedroom. They are looking to get in there, and I'm sure Shockwave will be wanting to get that triple wall opened. We've got Rask outside on the rappel now of Astronomy, just looking to see if he can close down any rotations through that bathroom, because obviously there is an angle in there to potentially get a flank onto master bedroom. Pengu is going to be fully flashed there, but will just back off with the clash. He's of course got that huge shield in front of his face, so it's not a major danger for him. He can just keep himself nice and safe there. Shockwave, not too sure about that one. Goes in to apply the exothermic charge. Electrification is still in place. Obviously utility had been expended to try and remove it, but the nade was too far away and was unsuccessful. So giving up an exothermic charge to it and not reacting, that's a little bit of a strange one there.
It's indeed a strange one indeed. Probably trusted his teammate Pasha to be able to get that grenade into the right spot. Not sure, it's an Electroclaw, of course, where that would be located, but now they're not going to be able to open up anything anymore, as Virtue will be able to take him down. Rask with a response quickly, of course, as well. But the diffuser is dropped right there. They need to recover it, and it's still going to be Virtue that's playing on these Astro Stairs, able to put down some pressure. And even if they recover the diffuser, which they did just now, it's going to be Pengu that has moved inside of that master bedroom, and surely will be, well, isolating him soon. It's just shit to come through, though. He's definitely plowing through these defenses of G2 right here as he picks up yet another one. And he will be basically carrying Virtus.Pro over to that round win. Just getting these entries, getting these amazing kills onto that sledge. The L85, definitely a weapon that suits him today.
The Pasha Show rumbles on in round number 8 there, and he is really grabbing this game by the scruff of the neck and trying to drag his team back into it. But that is now 8 attacking rounds that we have seen in a row. We are yet to see a single successful defense here on Villa, and as I keep saying, 57% win rate for the defenders through stage 1, so this is highly unusual at the minute that neither of these two teams seem to be able to lock things down. And for me, G2, they need to just drag this one over the line as quickly as possible now, Hap. They don't want this dragging, they don't want it lingering, because the closer that Virtus.Pro get to them, the more intense that pressure will become. It will start to feel like they are playing inside of a pressure cooker, and those small mistakes that may normally be brushed aside will start to become potential issues within the team, and you know, those comms might just get a little bit more fraught, and things could just get a bit more difficult for them to close out should it get to 6-4, 6-5.
I think that indeed will be the turning point. G2 right here, still 4 rounds in the lead, Tim, and that means that if they manage to close them out in any of these 4 upcoming rounds, they will be in a very good spot going on to that second map. But as you said before, if it will be going over to 6-4, 6-5, then maybe things start to get a bit tense within the team right here. So they need to make sure they close it out as soon as possible, not allow Virtus.Pro to get their momentum, to get the ball rolling, because they're still going to be up a second map or potentially a third one as well. So you want to shut them down right now before they gain too much traction, because if that's the case, then the plow will definitely keep on plowing. And G2, back to AVGs. Up that, this is probably their best bet on closing it out. What can they do? How will they bring it? Is Pasha definitely on a tear?
Yeah, I agree. I think realistically you would expect to be able to pull together a successful defence of Aviator and Games. Now, WTG are just looking to come in, and those drones are going to distract Tuno, and WTG takes full advantage of that, moving in and getting that entry frag once again. And that is 3 in a row to open up rounds for Virtus.Pro now, and it's becoming a bit of a struggle for G2 to play from 4 versus 5. In the last 3 rounds, that is the numbers that they have had to face off against. And Just wondering with this Aviator Games defense, Kanto, he's out there on those east stairs. He's just going to look to see if he can pick up the Sledge of Pasha as he moves around, and it will certainly be a big pick if they can do that. But I'm just wondering with Aviator Games whether they might benefit G2 here from just having a second man with Pengu on those south stairs. He hasn't seen too much pressure yet, but I'm sure that it will come at some point. We can see that he's there all alone on the smoke once again, and it can be a very important area, and he was easily challenged and removed from there last time, and maybe G2 just need to get a tighter grip on that area of the map.
Maybe, just maybe they need to bring some more aggression to the likes of VP. They're playing really passively right now, as you can see, and it just allows Pasha to get the grenades into the right corners, just go for these free fires onto these players, their positions. What if you swing him first? Would that be enough to actually stop the man himself? As right now, VP moving up these main stairs. It's Rask to be the first one in. Kanto still holding off onto the red stairs, as right now main stairs corridor and study control have been seized by Virtus.Pro. G2, 1 minute on the clock, they're 1 man down, still have quite some utility to work with. They have Citizen ready on 90 to potentially go for a flank if they decide to push from that hallway into the door again. They still have these smoke canisters on Pengu, I believe at least 2 of them, to stop a potential plan to come through. Is it going to be enough though with these last 40 seconds? That is the question. Is it going to be enough for them to close it out?
Kill starts come in now as Shockwave will take down Virtue with a headshot. That leaves us 3 versus 5, and G2, they are scrambling for anything they can find in this round, and find nothing is what it will be, as it's a flawless round for Virtus.Pro. They come in with all 5 without taking 1 death in return, and Virtus.Pro are sending a message here. Anything you can do, we're hoping to at least match it, if not better. Now, they are going to be going for a 6-0 here in return to take us to overtime. I would still be amazed, Hap, but they've got themselves 50% of the way there now, and I'm starting to paint a picture that maybe Virtus.Pro can actually do this. We're going to be heading down to Dining and Kitchen. It's going to be the first time that we see G2 go to a downstairs bomb site, and the longer that this goes on, it only benefits Virtus.Pro.
It definitely does. G2 not going to be able to make the quick work out of VP as they might have expected they would be able to make after a 6-0 half. As VP starting to fight back. On the defense side of map so far, we've had 9 attacking round wins, something that is out of the ordinary, but is to be expected to happen every once in a while, especially in a major. As Uno using that Oryx to get rid of every single cabinet that he doesn't like, the walls, make some rotations, as Oryx now only takes 5 damage from punching himself through a destructible surface instead of 10. It's a small buff, but enough, and, well, basically enough to make it viable for a team like G2 to create these rotations. Really like what they're doing here, the complete wall being taken out of Memorial, something we do not often see, do we?
No, not at all, and it is going to open up some long angles for G2 to potentially use there, make it very difficult for the defenders to approach. But I think overall in this round for me, one of the important factors is going to be that entry battle, and I think G2 need to be winning that. As you said, Hap, last round they appeared very passive, weren't really keen to push on and take those gunfights. We saw Pengu pushed all the way back from south stairs, deep into sight, and then was just dispatched once Virtus.Pro got their feet on the ground in that area. And I think G2, they need to start defending with a higher line here. They need to get up into the faces of Virtus.Pro and try and take that initiative, get that opening kill, have that round at 5 versus 4 in terms of man count, and see if they can push it over the line from there.
All right. As right now we have a bit of a slow period. Pasha just opening up some vertical angles, hoping to get some control of this wide setup, this very roam-heavy setup that G2 brought. Every single wall has been opened up, but that is, of course, to aid an ACOG that, for example, Kanto has, but no longer. Pasha picks him up, and the man is in an absolute terror. I believe he's on 5 opening kills so far, and that is including, well, basically excluding the rounds we have not seen. And VP definitely living on the back of him so far.
Once again, Pasha just proving that he is a massive, massive part of this Virtus.Pro team. Coming in, as you say, 5 opening kills at least, if not potentially 1 or 2 more. And it really is doing an awful lot of work for his team at the minute to just help them have that man advantage and always be playing from a position of power. And right now we can see Virtus.Pro have got that top floor control that I spoke about when G2 were attacking this site. It's something that G2 didn't worry about, and they achieved plenty of success without it, but it can be absolutely lethal because it starts forcing the defenders to move around. And we can see Rask is in position here as the Ash. He can make these lateral challenges onto site, and in he goes. Now, he won't find anybody at the minute and will be shut down immediately by Pengu. Extremely important kill there. That could easily have been a 2 or a 3 for Rask, but WTG, he follows straight in now. He's not aware of the man in pantry, and Uno will step out and get an important frag on the Oryx there. That now leaves us in a 4 versus 3, but it's leveled out, squared away as Shockwave takes the kill onto Pengu. We can see so much direct pressure coming towards site. Virtus.Pro, they are just forcing themselves in through that door, one after another, throwing themselves into the breach.
I think all these opened walls will confuse them a little bit as well. Basically, the only way they can actually actively enter from is going to be that one door we've seen many go through before, as that is the one most covered spot for the attackers to actually work with. As Pasha decides to, well, surrender that top floor control whilst there's still a player up there. I believe that's going to be Citizen, has the opportunity to flank down right now. The execute is happening. They have site control. The plant will go down. The info is coming through as well. As the C4 is going to get prepped, it's not going to be tossed over as Pasha will be there for the cover. And that means 45 seconds now on the clock. Citizen will play a crucial role right here. He's going to have to go from top. He's going to have to find out where these players are and take them down one by one. Soften it up for Uno to go for an eventual defuse of that lunch box. But is it going to be able to find anybody? Doesn't look like it. Only Shockwave is on side. The rest is long gone. It's going to be able to find that kill. It's all up to Citizen now. A 1v3 situation, 17 seconds left. This is a VP round.
It certainly looks that way right now. It's going to be the clock ticking away. There we go. There is no time now for Citizen to complete this diffuser animation, and he will be taken out by Pasha from above. Virtus.Pro playing extremely well on the attack so far and find themselves now at 6-4, and this one starts to become a real problem for G2 here. Virtus.Pro have got themselves some huge momentum now coming into round 11. This one looked like it was likely to be over inside 7 or 8 rounds, but G2 have just been completely unable to close this out on the defense. And I think that round showed a little bit more of a glimmer of maybe what we need, but it still wasn't the aggression from G2. The kills that they got came from within sight. It was punishing players, Rask and WTG, as they tried to push in and aggress onto site, and they're always reacting to Virtus.Pro at the minute, whereas G2, we need to see them come out, take that initiative, get an early couple of kills, and just know that they're in a round 5 versus 3 and can push themselves over the line. They're going to be heading back to Aviator games again. They've defended there twice and lost there twice. They need to show us something different here.
They need to take down Pasha. The man is on an absolute tear, Tim. 10-on-2 after rehost, and rehost came in round number 6, meaning he has a 2 KPR post rehost. He is absolutely demolishing the players of G2. He needs to be stopped for them to have an opportunity of actually getting this win in. Now, you could be going for a spawn peek, but it doesn't look like G2 is attempting or thinking about it, even as they're setting up their usual way. So that means they're going to have to find a way differently from a spawn peek to take him down. Now, are you going to be more aggressive, or are you going to be putting that shield on the front line, maybe on the main stairs? That is consistently been a spot where the players of Virtus.Pro are pushing from. I think that might be the right place for him to play. And as you see Pengu now changing the position of his shield, that might be a big telltale of indeed Uno going to play with Pengu and support him, making sure that the main stairs will be under control of G2 to get out with study as a result.
I think that's important. It's something that I picked up on previously, giving that position a little bit more attention, supporting Pengu by sending the second man out there with him. Of course, that is assuming that Uno remains in that position as the clash and doesn't rotate around, but we can see that early pressure is being applied in that direction already, and it is something that is important. We need to keep hold of that because both times that Virtus.Pro have won this round, a large amount of that pressure has come from that south side of 90 corridor into sight behind the bar, and so G2, they need to try and keep hold of that at all costs. And right now, a big entry kill or two just to fire them back up, just to put that initiative in their hands will be a huge thing for them right now. If this one goes to 6-5, it's going to be a massive ask for G2 at that point to try and close it out, just because Virtus.Pro have got themselves so much momentum now. What can Virtus.Pro do about this clash? Have G2 found the answer here by supporting that hold of South Stairs more? Interestingly, in the 4 times that we've seen them play Villa in Stage 1, they've only lost Hap 5 defensive rounds in 4 full matches here on Villa. So they have got a good pedigree on the defence. It's just that Virtus.Pro, they've got the key and they've been unlocking it every single time.
Much longer will the key last though, as the grenade will be tossed in, but we'll be finding actually nobody. Citizen still in the living room here, able to actually go for a flank, but Pasha seems to be aware of that fact. I'm not sure if they have drones or where they're located at, but they just, oh yeah, there we go. A mission with the drone, knows exactly where Citizen is right now. Pasha will thus return to try and put some pressure down onto the Ela of G2, and Citizen will have to choose to fall back because he also knows that that plant was coming for him as Rats goes low. Just quickly checking how many drones are still left. They have 5 drones available to themselves, 6 drones actually on the likes of VP. There should be enough to drone out these last players of G2 in his last dying seconds, but the defuser will be dropped down. Citizen is going to be able to shut him down, and that means that right now VP needs to make a decision. Are we going to recover that diffuser, or are we going to be going for these kills? And with this clash playing on this hallway, it is going to be ever so much harder for them to do so. G2 might have found a way to completely shut them down now. Is it going to be enough though? These last 10 seconds will tell, as W2G hopes to enter the side, but he will go down. Pasha will be taken down as well. Virtue with the cover is the 360 from the clash, but it will not last. However, G2 with Pengu are going to be able to put up a flawless round, and they will eventually still manage to win the round and that matchup, but it's taken them a long time, from 6-0 all the way up to 6-4 before the final 7-4 came through. It must be a relief for them because it seemed like a comeback was looming.
G2 finish with a flourish of a flawless round there, coming in and asserting some dominance on the defence finally, but it needed that clash of Uno just to put them over the line and prevent that Virtus.Pro push on the south stairs. They got the extra manpower there and they got themselves over the line, but it certainly doesn't fire them into map 2 with the sort of confidence that we thought they might be heading in with, given the start that they had. That could well be a big blow and support Virtus.Pro in coming through and taking themselves map number 2, but given that we are in a best of 3, that is now essential for Virtus.Pro to achieve.
Well, at least our analysts are going to be having a bit more to talk about it a bit, considering it's not going to be a 7-0 with only 2 rounds played on stream, but it's going to be a 7-4, meaning there's some more to talk about. Pasha definitely on fire. Is he going to be able to continue that over to map 2? Is G2 going to be able to figure out what actually went wrong there after the site swap? That is going to be the question that we would like to see answered, but let's go to a quick commercial break and then the analyst will break it down for you.
Shot for me! Perfect!
For who?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. What a map one on Villa. I started off with such a big advantage for G2, 6-0 on the first half. We didn't get to see half of the rounds, let's be completely honest, but there's...
They're saving it for the final, mate. We won't get to see anything until then.
Probably, but let's be honest, an attacking sided Villa is a very scary one to behold, because as you saw in the beginning, Villa is like a 57% defense rated map, so relatively defense favored usually.
Seeing a
it was a rough one.
Yeah, and I think
10 rounds back to back was the big one, right?
Yeah, it's a 6-0 sweep. It's across the board. It's we haven't seen that at all throughout this tournament, and then to have it on Villa as well is just terrifying.
Yeah. The big one for me really was actually looking at the second half, because that's where we saw most of the, well, had the opportunity to watch most of it, admittedly. We saw a couple of flashes of G2 in the first half and what they managed to achieve. It was more that Virtus.Pro were just being very passive, and G2 were the ones saying, hey, you're not playing for trades, you're not really moving, we'll happily collect you on the run in. It felt the same going into the second half, except for one player, Pasha. Like, whoa. We spoke about this guy at the start and how much he shone. I said against Kanto Raketti, really, there's probably still a couple of players yesterday above Kanto that really shone. Pasha took it to a whole new level. This would have been a 7-0 were it not for Pasha. I had it down that he got rounds 7 and 8. He got 3 kills for himself. The next round was a flawless round with his help. The following round, he got another 3K. And then we get into the final round where he gets caught up in a 1 versus 1 downstairs against Citizen and isn't part of the site execute. The big crucial moment there was the diffuser holder being killed early with about 30 seconds left on the clock. And it was like, now it's panic stations. Now it's time to scramble. All it takes is one small mistake like that, and G2 can capitalize. Unfortunate, but showing a lot of hardiness there, Pasha. I need to see the rest of his team step up.
He started with a round 1 peak. No information, as some would say. Went out, got a kill, and you're like, well, there it is. Even though that round...
He had 5 opening kills, and that's excluding the 2 rounds that we didn't see.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So even though that round ended up going to G2, it still was a pretty effective way of playing the game, leaving G2 on their toes. But we saw the Clash adaptation at the end. The only defense round that was won, it was built off of this, delaying time, bring the Clash.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of a Clash run in Astro beforehand on a Trophy Century hold, and it was nowhere near as effective. At that point, Kanto had already been taken off first as well. They'd lost the opener to the Passion of Pasha. That was, as we said at the beginning, he's so consistent. It's just, unfortunately, the rest of the team doesn't have that same caliber and that same level, which is hard because he's so exceptional, as we got a little bit of a demonstration there before. Clash slowed it, stemmed it, pushed them back and rebuffed them. And one of the things and one of the words and kind of phrases that I built up Virtus.Pro to be in these kind of situations is they are ferocious. They will throw themselves at you and often come out the victors because they have that little bit of extra. Their claws are slightly longer, their teeth are slightly sharper. You can't do much against the plexiglass wall that is Clash in that situation. It rebuffs them like you're watching a ferocious animal in a zoo. It doesn't really do anything.
It's almost like their mascot is a bear. Who would have thought that the analogy would have worked?
Electric fence, boys.
Electric fence. It does the work. Outsmart. Don't try to outstrength, I guess, your opponents. But that was map 1. Kafa Dostoevsky's up next. Now, both teams were very effective on the attack. Virtus.Pro banned the Monty, which is an operator we mentioned in the beginning. Goyo was banned by G2. Womai is left in the open. How do you see things very quickly going into Cafe?
I mean, it was a great map for Virtus.Pro yesterday. They showed up so well against Rogue, but Rogue didn't show up. That's the kind of hard bit here, because you go 6-0 up on your attacks on Villa, you're expected to win it. They almost didn't, let's be real, but again, the statistics of what just happened on Villa are peculiar. They're an outlier. If we see a 6-0 sweep on attack on Cafe, that is an outlier as well. I believe Virtus.Pro are starting on the attack too. They, I think, opted. I believe they opted to start on the attack, and
they choose where they start.
Yeah, too. So VP picked defense. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I guess it's seeing, if it was just a kind of one-off lucky shot of this is what we're attacking and we're doing it on Villa, or if we're about to see a very aggressive Cafe 2.
Yeah, I think this one's probably a Virtus. Virtus.Pro have definitely got the capability to go on and win this, but haven't seen that last map. I think G2 will feel very, very good coming into their attacks.
Okay, let's throw it over to our casters. Map number 2, hopefully all sticks and works together very well. Thank you so much for everybody watching, for sticking around with us. I know it's been difficult for us and the casters, of course, who've been stalling effectively. I have to give them that for today. So let's just throw it over back to our casters. Map number 2, G2 versus Virtus.Pro. Who knows? Maybe G2 will go to the grand final right after this. It's down to Cafe. Map 2, all yours.
You too kind, Milosh. Talking about Siege is absolutely no chore for me and Hap. We'll do it all day long, but hopefully you won't have too much more of that, as we're going to be heading into Cafe now in the August Major. We have seen G2 very narrowly, or at least certainly more narrowly than we thought would be the case, take map number 1 on Villa. They had a 6-0 lead, but then Pasha said, no sir, not today, and he fought his way along with the rest of his team back into that to finish off 7-4. Ultimately a tough loss for them to take, because they must have got to that stage, Hap, where they really thought that they were going to be doing it.
They must have gone into a stage indeed where they were like, all right, 4 in a row, we can continue, let's go. And then suddenly they got shut down by that clash, unfortunately, for Virtus.Pro. But G2, again, on Cafe, right here, it's going to be starting out on that attack. And while if we continue with defense side of map, suddenly becoming an attack side of map, we might find ourselves in for a treat as the Monty ban will come through yet again from Virtus.Pro. Is it going to be continuing? Are we going to see the same ban coming out from G2 as well, with the maybe Nomad, maybe not Capitan here, or maybe the Goyo? That is the big question we would like to see answered.
But we've already seen the Goyo go once. G2 did choose to take him away from Virtus.Pro. It's an operator that is now becoming synonymous with Virtus.Pro, particularly Pasha doing some great work on him, but he will not have the option here on Cafe. Goyo once again going by the wayside, and G2 opting to take that target ban, and as you say, Hap, it was returned with the Monty pick. And last but not least, we will have Wamai bringing up the rest. Now, that creates an interesting area here, Hap. If we look towards the top floor, you know where I'm going to go. Piano through to bathroom and white corridor, generally defended by either a Wamai or a Goyo, potentially a combination of the two. What are we going to see here, do you think?
I'm just thinking of top floor and Pixel. Often you see a shield being played there. It's often complemented with a Wamai. Now, of course, you're losing out on 2 of these shields that Virtus.Pro likes to bring. You're losing out on the Wamai as well. Might give them a hard time defending that top floor, and thus Virtus.Pro decides to instantly go for Reading Room Fireplace. But then again, VP is a team that is not completely shy of backing out of these meta sites, you would say, complete top floor or maybe kitchen bakery. It's always a surprise which 3 sites they will bring to a map.
I love to see it as well. I love to see that variation. Now, no surprise to see a mission just heading straight upstairs with the mirror. He's going to play the mirror on one of these 2 walls that you see in front of you. He'll reinforce both. I would expect to see it over on the left-hand side, generally speaking. But it wouldn't be a massive surprise to see it on either side, really. Effectively, the outcome is largely the same, but you need to be careful of the windows behind you. It doesn't matter where you put it, there is still access from a window angle onto that mirror. He's going to play it over on the right-hand side. It will allow for peeks out from the double door, and it's just going to try to help them hold on to this east side of the map. That's going to be the big focus for Virtus.Pro here. So if you're looking at this and thinking, right, what do G2 need to do? How do they win this round? Well, the answer is they come in and they need to dislodge Virtus.Pro out of that top floor to begin with. They could well start over at the red hatch, near where Pasha is now, move through Piano and try to take this bottom area of your screen, the east side of the map. Thank you, medics. Once they get control over that area, particularly where Rask and WTG are right now, they can start getting vertical angles down into sight, and that opens up the default plant spot, which is just inside of that reading door.
Well, starts things off strong as a mission will be taken down. However, receiving quite some damage himself. Player of VP that tries to return a favor, most likely Rask right here. A shockwave now ready to go for a potential jump out as well. Is going to be a second player of G2 ready to respond to that in case of a jump out. That is also a big one. It does indeed seem like the case. One is still standing by. As right now, drones are being spotted out here by Citizen. Using that sensor, knowing exactly where one of these yokais will be going. EP will come in as well, just to completely disable it for now.
That's the Yokai drawn out of action, so right now G2, they need to think about getting moving. We can see Virtue and Kanto, they are in there already, ready to react, and that is exactly what you need. You need that coordination. Ultimately, the Yokai drone is going to come back online once that Thatcher EMP wears off, and they need to be ahead of the game there and just trying to get themselves moving before that information is going to be fed back in. I don't think they've necessarily achieved that there. We can see that the Yokai drone was back online and is still going to be active, but that's good. It looks like Pasha has been forced back down to site, so that is one gone, and right now step one for G2 is to get that top floor control, and it looks at this stage like they are, I think, all the way towards doing that. Thank you, medics. Yes, we can see the east side now. Cocktail area has been cleared out. And Shockwave, could he be on a little flank here? He's going to move himself back up to the top stairs. Keep an eye on him. He could have a big impact in this round.
He could indeed, but so does Uno as he snuck himself inside the terrain. A C4 will go out from WTG, taking down Pengu and that diffuser. We'll be wasting some time right there. Right now, a bit of a stall, a bit of a standoff right here between Pasha and Uno. I doubt they know from each other that they are on opposite sides of these walls, as just a simple shot could end his life. And there we go. Uno responds to him. Pasha will be picked up, and that means we're back in a 4-on-3 situation, still in favor of G2. But Rask responds, takes out that kill, goes to the top floor now to try and contest, because we all know how important this top floor control could be. As G2 keeps on fragging out on the members of Virtus.Pro, it's going to be now known that Rask is indeed on the top floor. Are they going to be able to respond to that, as he's the last man standing? Is he going to be able to find the diffuser? No, he's not going to be able to land on the shot on the arm. Is going to be able to get the kill down onto Citizen Doe, and that is going to be starting things off. 1-on-2 situation now. He's low on HP. He's fighting Virtue and Kanto, but he will be taken down. The SMG coming in from below, enough to lend G2 that first round.
Good start for G2 there, and I think it's exactly what they needed. It sounds like an obvious comment, I know that, but I mean, leading in from the finish that they had on Villa, they managed to get themselves one line and get over the board. But if Virtus.Pro come in here and take that first round, that is massive, because it's then 5 out of the last 6 rounds that they've played that Virtus.Pro have taken the wins in, and it starts to grind at G2 then. They start to feel like they're slipping back into that same sort of lack of momentum that they've finished Villa with. But no, they've come in strong there. That was a very good take from them. Took top floor control as suggested and just worked from there, got control of that default plant spot, and then just picked up kills as and when the defenders tried to react and tried to maneuver and tried to do something about it. So Virtus.Pro, as they showed us on Villa, they will move down to the bottom floor here. Now, we saw them defending this area a couple of times against Rogue yesterday, and they did so very well. Generally speaking, what they tried to do was have a mission with the Maestro just in behind the bar there that you can see in the centre of your screen, and we had Pasha playing in the VIP area, which is just above where he is now, just off to his right hand side there. He's moving, he's getting himself prepped, so he's going to open up that freezer wall and make it very difficult for G2 to maneuver through there. And then he's going to try to hold down this location. He's got his deployable shield set up. He's going to keep himself in there. And a mission, generally speaking, from the bar, he's going to watch his back onto that double window that's up at the top right of your screen. He's just going to try and keep any pressure from mounting onto Pasha. And Rogue, they weren't able to deal with that. They weren't able to clear those players out. And G2, they need to show some good aggression. They need to recognise those locations, and they need to just disrupt Virtus.Pro here and not allow them to play their game.
I think what we can say is that often these hybrid attacks focused on the B bomb side, they start or die with that VIP clear. You need to get that player out there, otherwise you're not going to be getting control of the freezer. And instead, G2 so far opting to go for Bakery. 3 players around it. It's going to be Kanto with grenades ready to toss them in where necessary, but I believe there is going to be ADSs behind the counter to catch those off guard. No, actually, don't see a grenade. Could potentially pick up a kill or two as Pengu is playing above with that EMP. He's going to be taking down all that utility that Rask might have. I'm not sure if he still has one in pocket. No, he does not. That means a grenade could be potentially landing a kill, but it was being tossed in too far. Virtue, however, with the shot, will be able to take down Shockwave, so they'll still find themselves an entry. As Pasha now comes in to try and cover off as well. They're not giving up on Bakery quite yet.
A big entry it was as well. Shockwave taken off the board with the mute there, and that was a Nitro gone. You could see that he just threw it at the double door before he was taken down, but couldn't detonate it. Kantor will get a kill onto WTG in a second for himself, and if a player like Kantor can get rolling, this could be tough for Virtus.Pro. Our analysts spoke about Kantor before we came into the game and just how influential he can be if he starts getting kills on the board, and that's 2 for him on the round here. We find ourselves 4 versus 1 as Citizen will shut down a mission, and right now this defense is falling apart. Rask, he gets out the tape, he's trying to piece it back together, he's on the super glue now. Hap, he's really trying to get this one back and build these pieces back into something coherent, but it is still going to be a big ask for him here. He is 1 versus 2 against Pengu and Virtue. Can he separate these into 2 1 versus 1s? That's really what he needs to do now. Pengu and Uno, they need to be very careful. They're stacking up together here, and Rask, he's moving silently. He's like a snake. He's down on his belly. He's looking to get this flank off, and the first one is going to be a free kill onto Uno. He waits. Trigger discipline. He's trying to locate Pengu.
No way.
He needs to be
This
careful.
is so smart.
And he nearly misses the kill for it, but it's a good quad for Rask coming in. Pengu, however, takes the opportunity to get the diffuser down. This is going to be an ace for Rask. Yes, as he finishes it off. Massive play just when they needed it.
I have to blame this one a bit on Citizen though, or basically in the communications. They knew Rask was playing inside of Bakery there. And after he got the kill, turning it into a 4v1, he continued to cut through to the side instead of holding off for Bakery. Big mistake coming down there on G2's side, and costed him eventually. Rask able to sneak in between the drones of G2, making sure that there was no information on him and that he could move like an assassin, having a trigger discipline, staying behind Uno, just holding. Maybe you could spot Pengu first. If you managed to land that kill, it would have been a free kill, a free round, a free ace, but he will still manage to land it. Absolutely beautifully played by Rask. And that is one to go into the books as a historic play.
It was perfect from him. You've always got that risk if you're allowing someone to continue in a drone, as he did behind Uno. Obviously, when the movement comes, it was unexpected because you don't know exactly when they are going to drop out of that observation tool and start moving, so you have to react to it. But given the distance in between them, the risk wasn't huge for Rask there, and it was a massive heads-up play to just try and get that information on Pengu's location. I mean, he had a good idea. He peeked out into the corridor, and I think he expected to see maybe Pengu moving down there, but he was just a breath too late in order to actually see the back of Pengu. But he knew all too well that he was heading for that default plant spot, and it was great trigger discipline not to take the kill onto Uno, because as soon as he takes that kill onto Uno, it speeds the round up. It forces Pengu to take some action, and he allowed that clock to burn down a little bit more and to try and gather as much information as he could do for himself. So unbelievable plays from Rask there. 1 versus 4, an ace overall, massive from him.
Big plays for a big guy needing to show up to join Pasha in the kill squad that VP needs to make sure they can force this up to a third map. Lost out on the first one, 6-7-4. Almost managed to bring that comeback happening. 4 consecutive rounds before they were being stopped. And then G2, right now, being aced against in a 1v4 situation. Of course, you cannot rely on that happening consistently, but it might be what you need mentally to get you going, to get your team back into the rhythm, to get the mentality back, just to make sure that you can get that snowball, just build up. Keep rolling from there on, as some valuable information being gathered by the yokai there. I doubt Kento is going to be aware of it. Not he is, he shot the yokai already. It's a piece of utility gone, and a rotation created into the freezer.
You're absolutely right. Virtus.Pro cannot rely on rounds like that, but they need to use it as a catalyst. They need to allow that to fire them up and get them into this game, get themselves a lead for the first time. They haven't been ahead yet in this matchup, and can see Virtue. He's going to open up that peak hole through into Cocktail. That's going to force Pasha back to site. He will barricade things up into reading as he goes. Now, the last job for G2 for the time being here is to force Rask away. He's just caused them massive problems in that last round, and he is going to be dropped as Virtue will get that last hole opened up that he needs to give G2 the top floor control that we saw them take back in round 1 and we saw them use extremely well. So for now, G2, they need to get a kill or two, and then they can start thinking about building pressure, getting through that reading door, and get that diffuser down.
Well, good start for that would be to get your control of that top floor, open up vertically. Use your sledge to your advantage, as Kenta will now be doing so, swapping off to the SMG, of course, to have a bit of an extra fire rate in case you spot someone and need to take that gunfight. L85 more so meant for tight angles as a C4 comes out. WTG blasting him into outer space. That leaves it all up to Pengu now, who needs to use his breaching charges to try and find the right angles. Not going to be able to spot any player as of yet, though. As WTG now gets picked up, it's going to be a 4-on-4, and we keep on counting down in these last dying 15 seconds. We keep on trading as well. Citizen finds himself in the side. Pengu needs to calm down to go for that defuse. A mission coming in from the back. Will this be covered? That is going to be the question, though. No, it will not be, as Pengu will fall. It's the time that will be running out soon. It's only up to Uno. He's not going to be able to find these last 2 kills. I assume, indeed, he will not. And Virtus.Pro winning round number 3, taking the lead for the first time in these series.
Good scramble from Virtus.Pro there. G2 getting themselves some reasonable control over the reading site. Pengu going in and was fractions away from getting that diffuser down and active. But Virtus.Pro, they reacted very well to the situation that was in front of them. Managed to get themselves into position and just shut that round down. So good play from them. We had WTG stepping up with important play through that round to make sure that Virtus.Pro got another round on the board. We are going to be heading to the other mid-floor site. This is pretty much the same as we saw from Virtus.Pro yesterday against Rogue. They really do not favour that top floor site map. They are not keen on playing up there, and they will choose to go into the alternative mid-floor site of Mining and Dining Room first before they head to that top floor, if we even see them up there at all.
I don't think they will. VP is a team that completely avoids this top floor if they get the option to. I've seen them doing that consistently. They just don't like to go there. Opt to go for the mining room instead. And they find quite some success with it, so why not in that case? Everybody nowadays is used to attacking that top floor. And thus they will take out that little bit of comfort that G2 might have on that site and turn it into a site that was basically not played the entire season.
Out go the drones then, and the information gathering will continue through the first 30 seconds to a minute of this round, just to give G2 ideas of exactly what they are facing. Now Pengu, he's very very aware of the open barricade there and the potential for a peek coming from Piano. I'm not sure we've got anybody playing in there. I don't think we do. We've got 3 downstairs. WTG and Rask will be over on the Cocktail side of things. So again, just showing, really highlighting the importance of that east area of the top floor here on Cafe. It's really dominant for the defenders to just hold across that entire top floor. We often see ACOGs in there, or guns that are good at challenging at a long range, so having the Jaeger of Rask in there is absolutely no surprise with that carbine that can just challenge right across that top floor with a very effective ability to take those long range kills and just hold on to that top floor control for as long as possible.
Kanto now trying to find that first kill of the round. Knowing someone was present near Pixel, WTG getting himself back into position. Using the black eye right here, very tactically hidden to try and rotate through. Tartar's going to be completely clear, but the C4 is going to be coming through. I believe he got shot out by Kento, but then gets the kill to WTG as well. So not only did they lose that C4, not confirm the kill to Kento, they also lost out on WTG, their smoke player. That means 30 seconds of basically stalling out. The potential plant of G2 is going to be gone, and that means 30 extra seconds for them on the board to work with. These last dying, well, the minute about to come through. G2 find themselves in a good spot.
5 versus 4, small advantage for G2, top floor control, and they're going to start opening things up now. There goes the hatch, and that is just going to force a mission to move around, but G2, they need to be very aware that these vertical angles, of course, work in both directions. Now then, Citizen, he's going to shoot his way out and drop down to apply pressure directly to site there. Kanto getting a great kill, following up, opening up a new angle with that sledgehammer. That will be a mission off the board, and we now find ourselves 5 versus 3. 40 seconds left to go. G2 just needing to be careful they don't allow that clock to become a 4th enemy for them here. But Rask, he is on a flank, gets absolutely nowhere as Kanto Raketti shuts him down with a headshot. Citizen follows him with one of his own. It's all down to Pasha. 1 versus 5. He gets the first, leaving himself 1 versus 4. But as he tries to move into the reading room, Citizen reads his movement and shuts him down with a round for G2. We find ourselves 2-2 on the scoreboard.
We're all equal yet again. As G2 with a way more convincing round right here, and now VP will finally choose to go to Bar Cocktail. Finding out that the tertiary bomb site not seeming to work, and thus they do the unexpected. They toss in the top floor, something we haven't seen from them in a long while, and that means as well, there's not that much information on this site for G2 to work off. And if VP brings something completely new here, that might be helping them to get that one round in that they might need later on. But will it be? Will it be enough? Will this be the size that they have been hiding for so long due to the fact that they knew they had to play it later on in a major stage right here in the upper bracket final? The winner of this will get a 1-map advantage into the grand final. We cannot stress that enough, how important that could be. And of course, more 6 invitational points going your way. Because some might think, you know, the cash prizes, they are insane. That is what they're playing for. But I don't think these players will care that much. It's mostly about the 6 invitational points that they play for. They want to play in the 6 invitational 2021. That is the end goal for all these teams. Just to show there that they are the best in the world and the best they can be.
I always love these sites, Hap, when we get into them where we haven't really seen a team and there's that big question mark that hangs over it. Have we not seen this team here because they are hiding it and they're just waiting to bring it out as a little pocket strat? Or have we not seen them there because they hate it and because they know that it is difficult for them to defend? And the next 2.5 minutes, that's going to answer those questions for us. But I always find them really exciting now. That was an interesting nitro toss and it very nearly connected. But Kanto just using that lip of the wall there, keeping himself on the rappel and keeping himself safe from the explosives being thrown in his direction.
Would have imagined him to, as soon as he went off the rappel, potentially that C4 to come in, but got a bit impatient there, and means one of the utility pieces is going to be gone. Potentially one more C4 available on VP. Not sure if they actually carried it along as well. If they opted to go for barbed wire or any other gadget. As G2 slowly trying to take control of Piano, most likely. It's going to be the first point they need to control. It's going to be hard to hold onto Pixel now, less shields to play with, also no Wamai, and thus you see that the player fell back just a little bit into the bathroom. Just playing it on a secondary line of defense, using a shotgun most likely to play close, and I'll wreak havoc into anybody thinking of contesting the white hallway. 90 seconds, G2 need to hurry.
They certainly need to get moving right now. They need to disrupt what Virtus.Pro are trying to do. They need to start dislodging these defenders from their positions. Pasha will be particularly dangerous there in the washroom, and that is a good first move from Virtue. He's going to open up a hole there now. Pasha will be able to bandit trick at least some. He goes for all, but will be forced out of the washroom with that small hole being opened up. It only takes 2 X-Kairos pellets, but that's a heads-up play from Virtue. His placement will have been specific there. I'm sure they were aware it will have been a bandit in there. They will have drawn that out, and by placing it across both reinforcements, he just prevents the whole 6 pellets being taken out, and that has at least given G2 a bit of a beachhead here. They can start working their way in. We can see more Hibana pellets from Virtue there, having having effect and forcing these defenders. Look at Virtus.Pro there in a tiny little cluster down in the southeast corner of this map now. They have been really pinned back in by G2 here, and it does potentially allow Pengu to get in and start getting this diffuser down. That's exactly what he's going to do. He needs to stick it for another couple of seconds. He moves away. A mission is underneath with the nitro in hand. He needs to be killed and will be by Uno. That's big, and that will potentially allow Pengu now to get the diffuser down. But no, he's been down, and Virtus.Pro are bringing the aggression on the defense. They move through with 4 quick kills. Massive plays. A mission there, although being killed by Uno, got the shotgun down onto Pengu at exactly the right moment before he was taken out, and it just prevented that progress from G2.
All that combined with the C4 that was still in the hand of the bandit was enough indeed to stop the diffuser from happening, and it completely stopped the entire attack from proceeding there. I have to say though, these pellets that G2 was using were absolutely well placed, completely taking down any anchor position that VP would like to use. However, they did not take into account that a C4 could be tossed over and a shotgun could be coming from below. Basically completely disrupting their ID, disrupting their strategy. Because of that, losing the round. Virtus.Pro now in the lead again, and they will be going up to the bottom floor yet again. Rask ace here the last time around. Is he going to be able to continue that? Because otherwise, G2 looked very confident in attacking this side.
They did, and Virtus.Pro, they need to bring something a little bit different here. They cannot rely on a Rask 1v5, and I'm sure that Rask is going to be dealt with if he remains in that bakery position a little bit quicker than we saw last time around. And Shockwave went for quite an aggressive play last time. If you remember on the mute, he just dipped out of that bakery preparation door that's on the left side of your screen now, tried to throw the nitro out there onto the attackers that were bunching around the double door entrance into bakery, but couldn't get the detonate. As he did so, he let go of the nitro, he saw it sail through the air, but unfortunately there were bullets heading right back in the opposite direction, and they took him out of the round, and there was no detonation of the explosive, and it really opened up G2 to push forward and start getting some more kills. So maybe just a little bit more sort of tempered aggression required from Virtus.Pro. Uno going to be opening up the window onto white stairs then. He's going to get his drone inside and just looking to start pushing through there. We've got Virtue. He's looking to pressure this double door once again. We saw this from G2 last time around. The thing is, they need to deal with Rask in that position now. Rask's actually moved away. He's dipped away from being behind that counter this time around. So that is, again, a little bit of a difference from Virtus.Pro, and that's what, as we said, they need to bring something different here now. Citizen, he's got himself upstairs. He's on the IQ, and he's going to take out those bandit batteries. Big nitro once again from WTG. We've seen that a number of times, and it's going to be Kanto that is taken down.
It's Rask, however, immediate response from Uno. As a repelling comes in afterwards, it's going to be Pasha to take him down. He rotated all the way up from the VIP area. Something that's quite unusual for such a player to do. Citizen playing on this suppressed AUG. Combination you do not often see, as the G8 of course is available onto the IQ. He's definitely turning some heads there. Excara's being deployed, most likely to open up some extra angles. Right there, as you see, in the middle of that bakery wall. It's going to allow them to push through. It's basically functioning as the breach right now, but it will be held by all the guns of Virtus.Pro, and they have more of them than G2 has currently. And that is definitely going to be spelling trouble in these last 60 seconds.
3 versus 4, we find ourselves. Pengu, he's going to be using those EMPs up above just to try and deny any further electronic utility available to the side of Virtus.Pro. Citizen gets a good headshot through onto Pasha. That is exactly what G2 needed. They need to just up the pace here a little bit on this attack, and they needed a couple of kills. Now, I don't think that Virtue is aware whatsoever that WTG is on the opposite side of that wall. No, he pops up like a jack in the box and takes Virtue out of the round. 3 versus 2 now, Virtus.Pro, and they are looking to get themselves into the advantage at the half, but Citizen, he's having absolutely none of it. Takes WTG down on the vertical angle, but he's now going to move into the downstairs. Emission, he is the hope for Virtus.Pro on the Alder there. 2 versus 1 takes Citizen down, and we have Pengu. He's going to try and get this diffuser down, lacking in time now. He has little choice left available to him. In come the shots, but he will be able to get off and fight. Gets into his ADS. Can he find 2 kills? No, he's downed, and that is going to be the round for Virtus.Pro once again. Amision gets himself a double on the round. He's starting to grow into this fixture, and we saw exactly what can happen yesterday when Amision does exactly that. Successful disable for him on the diffuser. Virtus.Pro 4-2 on the half.
This seems to be a more just halftime score for a map like Cafe. That means G2 now going up to the defense. Are they going to be able to continue what VP just did? Are they going to be able to reverse that one as they choose to go to the bar and cocktail straight away? And this is the difference between these two teams. Virtus.Pro playing every single site, and G2 instantly opting to go for the one that is being played the most across the regions. Bar cocktail. They'll be able to bring the fire here that's necessary as the Ying is being brought out. Look at that, perfectly read by G2. The Warden being brought out by Kento is going to be able to, well, basically reply to that Ying. As soon as those Candelas goes out, the Warden ability will be activated. He will not be blinded, and he's going to be able to return fire. And that is something you might not really expect as a Ying player. As soon as you toss these Candelas in, you expect people to be blind. You don't expect them to be firing back accurately at you. And as soon as that happens, there might be a bit of a shock factor coming in to completely shut WTG down.
We've seen Warden used to good effect here on Cafe once or twice before. There's a particular round from Space Station Gaming that I do recall, where he was used out in Cocktail particularly. It wasn't for defending Bar and Cocktail, that much is fair to say. It was for defending Reading, but still trying to keep hold of the same area effectively. And he was put to great use there. It was in combination with a mirror, which is not utility that has been brought by G2. So we'll have to keep a close eye on Kanto, on the Warden, and see just how impactful or effective it can be. But as you say, as a direct counter to Ying, very, very effective.
All right. It's a Ying. We've seen that being banned against VP many times, and I guess this is the round where we should see why it has been banned so often. And G2 instead opting to instantly pick in that Warden. They are prepared for it. They're willing to deal with it. Is it going to be enough, though? Is it going to be what they need to shut down VP on their attacks and get their own defensive rounds rolling? They're right now 2 rounds down. You got to make sure that VP is not gaining the same momentum as they did the last time around in Villa when they were 6-0 behind and suddenly brought it back to 6-4, because that could be quite detrimental.
WTG just holding an angle on the red stairs hatch there. Pengu needs to be careful that he doesn't get himself caught out now. Pengu quite often plays this location with the smoke, but generally with a bit more utility to support him. He would have a deployable shield and a castle barricade just to try and keep him locked into that cigar shop area. But this time they've foregone that and they've just let him sort of waste half of the round in there. But Pasha lays waste to Kanto Raketti there as he will shut him down with the headshot. And Kanto, he's having a difficult time in the entry battles here so far today, and that is good progress made already from Virtus.Pro there. Now, a little bit of a questionable throw. I'm going to let that one go, Amision, but they are starting to make good foothold into Piano now.
Definitely making good foothold here as G2 is being picked apart ever so slightly. Kento down, Uno down. Right now, the X-Kairos are going to be adding a little bit onto that, making sure that it's going to be hard for them to actually get that. Oh, actually, the Maestro Cam is stopping that. Evil Eye still available. As the EMP will be tossed in, most likely. Not going to be able to counter it as he quickly turns it upwards. Smart trick that doesn't often get utilized. But when it does, it's these small things that might change the route later on.
We can see the Hibana just protecting her X-Kairos pellets there, and here comes the execute. Smoke grenades down, Ying Candela's out, Amision runs in and starts getting that diffuser down. He will be taking damage, but successfully plants and gets not quite away with his life as he gets put down, but we find ourselves very quickly 2 versus 1. 1 versus 1, Virtue versus WTG, and the odds are stacked in the favour of Virtue here when we look at the health bars. WTG on low health, he's now heading underneath to try and defend this diffuser vertically, but Virtue, all he needs to do is stick it, and surely he's going to achieve that. Yes, G2 win the round. Heads up play from Virtue there, just to stick that. Pros don't fake this here. He certainly didn't then.
He definitely didn't fake. Virtue able to get that defuse, and it was well needed. It was 5-3 behind in the actual maps and not maps and players. It's going to be a hard one to come back to, but G2 promised and showed they could do it, and did so exactly. And right now, 3-4, only one round is separating the two of them. If G2 manage to win this one as they go to kitchen servers, they might be able to bring it back. It might be 4-4 again, and after that, it's going to be a sprint to the end. Whoever is going to get the free round first is going to be the one that will be either walking up to the grand finals with a one-map advantage, or will be knocked down to play against BDS after this map.
Heading into round number 8 then, we will see the second defensive attempt coming out from G2. They are going to try and lock down as many of these sites as they can. If they can get kitchen here and then follow up with the reading room next, that is a complete full defensive rotation then, and you start looking at that and thinking, can they achieve the 5-1? Can they get this one done in regular time? And you start thinking that it might just be possible at that stage, but there is a long way for them to go. There is 6 minutes standing between them and that point, and it is going to be a long 6 minutes if the last round was anything to go by. Virtus.Pro successfully getting the diffuser down, really mounting some pressure onto G2, but just unable to come out on top of that late round bloodbath that we saw. Operators being slayed left, right and centre, just put down and left in the dirt, but ultimately it was Virtue who came out clean, looking pretty with that disable of the diffuser to win round number 7 and keep G2 in touch.
Look at this quick play that VP is looking to put up as they're all coming in from the service entrance right here, jumping through the windows. Kill coming in from Pengu, but he will be blinded by these Candelas coming out. However, it doesn't matter. G2's completely slaughtering them. Just one response has been found as Uno will be taken out. And that means it's all up to Shockwave in a mission right now. The verticality of G2 basically saved them the round right there. They were able to respond to the quick push that VP wanted to put up. Right now, it's a mission in Harry Potter hoping to challenge Citizen, who is playing behind that bar. Ducks just in time. And Shockwave find themselves still in the prep room. He's going to be able to push forward from there on. That's the question, as G2 just holding tight. They know they will have to come to them. They know they have a 2-minute advantage. All they need to do is just basically let them walk into your crosshairs. And as long as you have that vertical control, which they definitely do, there's no way they're losing this. G2 with Virtue, a double kill to come down. Absolutely beautifully shut down the quick attempt of VP to end that round.
A quick attempt that backfired there. G2 absolutely ready for that one, laying in wait and shut them down. The first kill there, Pengu onto WTG, was particularly important. I think if that goes in the opposite direction with those Candelas raining out as well, you could well find yourself in a very different situation, as Virtus.Pro would likely have got themselves on top of things there, maybe even putting another 2 kills on the board as WTG swept through site. But it is all conjecture, as that was not what we saw. Pengu stepping up when his team needed him. He's had a quiet game so far. He's been playing on the plant support on attack, so it's not necessarily been for him to get involved in those frag battles, but that was only his 3rd kill on the game so far, and he will, I'm sure, be looking for more now that he's got himself onto the defensive side. He's going to be playing the smoke again. It's something that we've seen consistently from Pengu throughout the season, and he's really been putting up some great numbers on the support. He was in the top 4 or 5, I think, for overall plants on the attack, and has once again proved himself to be very capable of flexing from one role to another.
He's been known as that flex player of the roster ever since they existed. I think the biggest example you might be able to give could be 6th Invitational Grand Finals 2018, where he just swapped from role to role just to make sure they could come back from EG. Now, of course, this is not a game with the similar amount of stakes as that would be, but he's definitely showing that no matter what, put him on any role, any operator, and he will be able to perform. As G2, that's exactly what they need sometimes. And you can even go back to the round where they did get the plan down VP. The round was still won due to a clutch defuse from Virtue. If only half a second earlier, Pengu would have tossed in that smoke. It would have stopped the defuse from happening. It's just these little things that almost cost them the round every single time. It's not to blame them, really. It's just VP playing super aggressive right here, not wasting any time whatsoever, and bringing that Ying to aid the plant, aid the execute. With these Candelas, so far it hasn't really worked out yet. As once they did get the plant down, but the, well, not really the post plant, and the other time around, they tried to go for a quick push, but the verticality was something they did not take into account.
Once again, then we see from G2 very much the same as we saw from Virtus.Pro, and that is a similar top floor hold going on here, even for a reading room site. Now, out goes one of those smoke canisters just to prevent that pressure being mounted from the rappel on Zofia. For Pasha, just looking to aggress into site there, and that is big shots. Pengu puts kill on to WTG, but the shots were coming in from Kanto as well. He was caught inside of a nasty crossfire there. Pasha will get the trade onto Pengu, leaving us 4 versus 4. A lot of those toxic babe canisters had already been used by Pengu to try and slow down the push from the rappel. So that leaves us halfway through the round now, and G2, they are still keen to hold on to this top floor. Pengu, he is growing roots. He is going absolutely nowhere out of this pixel spot right now. He's got his gadgets. He's still deploying them. He's trying to find the room right now. That's how much he has invested into keeping hold of that corner, but he couldn't get it done in time. Ras gets the nade in, and that is all while Kanto has an ADS in hand that could well have saved his life. Uno, however, with a big nitro onto Pasha, and once again, just like this entire map, this round is going back and forward. We find ourselves 3 versus 3 coming into the last 50 seconds.
Indeed, sometimes it's just better to shoot those ADSs that are just placeholders at that moment in time and put a new one down, as all that evil eye will be lost, as it has been EMP'd, and thus, decides to go hyper aggressive right here in Pillar Room, but he will lose his life because of it. Dealing a little bit of damage to Shockwave, but not enough to actually stop him from moving. However, VP thought that they were playing upstairs, as you just see a mission trying to go for a plant, but it's not quite working, as they still have to go downwards, and that might have been a bit miscalculation that they did not expect right here, as certainly they start to hurry up. They have that 1-man advantage, but they weren't prepared for the actual plant to come down in this current situation. Impacts are being tossed in, Citizen losing a bit of HP, but as the time runs out soon, it's going to be Virtue. No, Citizen in a perfect spot, and as Virtue rotates up right now, the plant of a mission surely will be stopped soon, as here it is, Rasta cover is going to go down. Citizen will get the last kill as well. G2 will be able to win it, because Virtus.Pro were tricked into believing the site was upstairs, and because of that they lost a lot of time. They weren't ready for the actual execute here. You saw them panicking as soon as they figured it out. G2 basically got gifted this round because of that.
Well played from G2 there. Big retake coming in, and Citizen ultimately being the one to go onto that diffuser and get it cancelled out for the round. That is going to put them ahead on Cafe for the first time here. They have gone and done it. They've got themselves a full defensive rotation, so that really starts to pile that mental pressure and tension onto Virtus.Pro now, because they are yet to win an attacking round on any site. And right now, G2, they can just follow through once again and just do the same rotation. They're going to head to Bar, and they're going to follow it up with Kitchen, and then they will try to close this one out if they need to somewhere else. But I'm not so sure it gets past those two right now, Hap.
Well, they get past that too. Virtus.Pro, their attacks seeming to become, well, I mean, the first one was really confident. The post plant was just not good. The second one, they wanted to go for a quick rush, but that completely backfired. And the third attack they had was going quite well until they realized they needed to go downstairs soon. So it's just a bit of sloppiness that is showing for the likes of VP. But if they manage to fix that right now, their attacks are looking very promising, and they might be able to completely turn it around here. And you see again the unfortunate moment with Kanto. And that extra ADS in hand, and that's why you could just shoot them or quickly knife it before you put it down, just to create a bit of extra space. It's not going to be doing anything else than that. Makes it a bit quicker. You don't have to search for it. Would have saved his life. But nonetheless, G2 won the round. After all, that one unfortunate event did not matter too much.
Got the proximity alarm being brought along by Pengu. It's not something that we've seen too much of so far in the major here. Hap, I think it's actually the first time that I recall seeing it. It's not to say that it hasn't been present, but it certainly hasn't had a huge impact. Pengu is going to deploy it out there. It looks like it's just going to sit near that mining corridor there and just prevent or just identify if a push comes along from Virtus.Pro along that line. It's just trying to cover Pengu's flank potentially, because he's going to try and keep himself locked into that utility room there so that he can play on towards reading room. Now, interestingly, I think what Pengu is trying to defend against, it's again something that I saw in LATAM previously last season. One way to attack this top floor site is actually just to get an operator in underneath site and just completely open the floor up. Now, there's no buck on the side of Virtus.Pro. He is the ideal operator to do that, but basically you get in there and you just open up as much of that floor as you can, and it prevents the defenders from sitting on the east side of Cocktail and Cocktail Balcony and makes it very difficult for them to hold those long angles. So that's what Pengu is just trying to deter there. He doesn't want the attackers going in and just being able to get that easy control over reading, but it doesn't look like something that Virtus.Pro are going to play into.
I was going to say, Virtus.Pro not really the team, at least during this map, to be taking too much control of verticality. They are more a fan of the horizontal, the lateral takes. Want to bring the fight close to them, and basically G2 keep on shutting them down by having that element of verticality that is not being practiced by Virtus.Pro, and that is where they're lacking right now. As Uno gets the first kill, a mission will go down. That is your Hibana off the board. Not sure if any of the X-Carvers have been used, but if not, it's going to be a safe spot there on the eastern side. Something that G2 did before, just get the, well, foot holes out. The ankle holes is not going to be happening in that case. It's going to be making it ever so harder to actually go through. But as I say that, Reds going aggressive, picking up the kill to Kanto right there, cutting straight into the A-bomb side, and that means right now they have a lot of control and can potentially go for a plan. Sebastian gets the kill into Citizen as well.
Huge play from Rask there. That's another way to deal with the East Balcony, and it's just to walk straight onto it and take everybody down. Getting the kill onto Kanto in Cocktail, and now allowing Shockwave to get in and start getting that diffuser down. Gets kill onto Virtue as he tries to react to that happening. Pengu will be shut down by Shockwave on a headshot, and that leaves us 5-0 and no closer to a winner here after round 10 on Cafe. Can Virtus.Pro now find some momentum on the attack? That is their first successful attacking round. They need to get some more. G2, they're going to be heading down to Kitchen. That doesn't surprise me. I thought it just flashed up with Bar to begin with, and I was going to question the site choice, but heading back down to Kitchen I think is a good shout for them. They were very solid down there, and they need to get this on the board and give themselves the opportunity to close this match out.
You have to be realistic here, Tim. They went to Kitchen, yes, they won that one, but it was mainly due to the fact that VP wanted to go for a quick push, and it so happened to be that Pengu and the players above were ready and waiting with those vertical angles to stop them from actually coming inside. So we haven't really seen a true surgical attack yet for Virtus.Pro to this side, and we do not know how this one is going to be packing out. Of course, if they're going to be going for the same push again, it's probably not going to be ending well, because G2 is going to be, of course, making these vertical angles to contest them as soon as they take sides. What we need to see from VP, especially on this bomb side, is to go from top to down, clear out those two roamers, then go for a potential plant. Because if you're going to be forcing yourselves onto the sides again and not care about these 2 or 3 players that are playing upstairs, you are guaranteed to lose this round.
Completely agree. I think they need to swamp G2 just like they did in the last round. They basically just absolute brute force their way into Cocktail. Rask just moving through and taking kills as he went, and it freed up the map that they needed to get that diffuser down. And right now, Virtus.Pro need to take a leaf out of that round 10 book, and they need to bring it to round 11. Get themselves in. That is not going to help. Uno with a huge double on the opener. Emission and Rask going down. G2 taking a huge step towards a 2-map victory here against Virtus.Pro. They need to get 2 more rounds on the board, and they have only got 2 rounds in which to do it if they want to achieve that without overtime. Now, Uno goes for a cheeky nitro toss as well, but WTG, he's already moved away from that hatch, but I cannot overstate how big a start that is for G2 here on Kitchen.
I was going to say they're going to go for a top floor control, and well, what can G2 do? They need to disrupt them before they get into it, and this is exactly what happened there. A double spawn peek kill to come down from Uno, but we have to say it's what it was 2 or 3 members of G2 spawn peeking. They were guaranteed to be a gunfight somewhere on that map, and well, Uno got the better hand out of that one. Still lives and is going to be able to feed information to the rest of his team with a cardiac sensor as Pasha right now. Crouch walking through the bars right here. A drone going right in front of him as G2 is falling back to the side. They know they have done the damage they need to do and will be falling back into safe grounds with only Kento left on top floor. Playing with that ERC-7, of course, with which he can completely disable himself from being spotted by drones. As he decides to go to the bottom floor as well. Most likely prove to be the right choice as VP is all over the map except for the actual site right now. G2, a 2-man advantage and 75 seconds left. Should be enough to get yourself a round and should be enough to put yourselves onto 6.
I think it's a good call from G2 there. They don't need to lose any men up on that mid floor. They've already wasted practically 2 minutes of the round. I don't know how much information Uno will have, given that those kills likely came from a jump out or a peek to begin with. So he may well be aware that Sledge has been taken down. They'll more than likely be aware that that is the operator usually brought by Rask in this situation. So they will likely know that the top floor isn't actually that much of a concern anymore. And as the kills start to come in, Virtus.Pro on the wrong end of them once again find themselves now 2 versus 5, 30 seconds left to go, and this is now an absolute mountain to climb for them. In comes the challenge, Kanto onto WTG, 5 versus 1 now. G2 looking to get themselves onto match point. There is absolutely nothing that Shockwave can do against the shotgun of Virtue as he just vaults in through the window to his ultimate demise, and G2 will take round number 11 in a flawless fashion, leaving them on map and match point.
If there was any better way to catapult themselves into this match point, it would have been with a flawless round indeed. Right now, choosing to go back to Bar Cocktail. I'm not a big fan of that one. I would rather see them go to the second floor site. I think it would be more beneficial for them. Unless they manage to bring something else. But surely you're not going to be spawn peeking again, because VP, you should be ready right now for that. They should be watching these windows. There's no way they're letting G2 get away with yet another, well, spawn peek to come out. So what can they bring maybe? Maybe we're going to see some of these Valkyrie cameras to be tossed in, but due to the constant IQ play from Virtus.Pro, it's going to be hard to keep them up for a long while, and that means it's going to be hard to guide these 2 C4s you have available to you. And as I say 2 C4s, Citizen is actually using a shield. So it's only going to be 1 C4 in the hands of Uno that they will have to work with.
It is an interesting site choice. There are arguments, of course, for both top floor and for reading room. I think the problem potentially with top floor is that G2, it just feels like they're inviting a little bit more pressure onto themselves. So there's not really anywhere that you play where you would fall back for top floor. It's pretty much the attack comes into the defenses that you've made on the site and top floor from the very beginning of the round. And what I mean by that, by contrast, if we look at the alternative for them, which would have been the mid-floor reading room site, they can hold the top floor, they can waste time, but they can drop back to site. They've got somewhere to retreat to. They've got these layers of defense that they can fall through. There's not as much immediate pressure onto the core of the defense, onto the site there, that you get on top floor here. So they're certainly doing this in a pressure environment now, but ultimately the site choice needs to come down to where G2 feel more confident, and I'm sure that it is going to be the top floor if that's where they've picked. And right now, Uno, he could be a huge player. Is he thinking about it? He wants that jump. The information, I'm not sure if it's there or not. There is no one for him to gain. There's only rappels on the west side of the building right now. So, Uno, you keep yourself inside. Don't you take that risk.
Just stay inside just for a little while longer. Maybe in a bit, someone will be rappelling down on the southern side. Of course, the southern side is probably one of the most dangerous ones to rappel on, as, of course, it has that one door at the bottom of the garage you can be shot from. It has that window that you can jump out from, as Kento right here will be putting down his ADSs yet again. This time, will not have one to actually juggle with, meaning that if the ADSs will be burned, it will instantly be rotating out, not standing there for too long. And look at that, a mission actually is going to be rappelling upside down. Uno, are you ready for the jump out? Yes, he is, and there we go, the kill, and the diffuser will be dropped. 1 minute 40 on the clock, a quick one one-hit fault, and we have seen how important those could be today already, especially in Cafe, as it could have been costing people their lives multiple times there. It's a skill to be, well, basically, it's not often talked about, the one-hit fault, but it's definitely really important to have.
Huge kill from Uno there, not just in terms of momentum and aggression here in the round, but the fact that it has just wasted 20 to 30 seconds of the round for Virtus.Pro because Amision had the diffuser in hand. It's not something that Uno could have chosen, but what a stroke of luck for him. Raski's looking to move in. He will come to blows with Pengu and he will take him off the board. 4 versus 4, things are leveled up, but the big factor here for Virtus.Pro is going to be that clock. 50 seconds left to go and Uno burnt an inordinate amount of time with that kill onto the Hibana of Amision and putting the diffuser on the ground. WTG had to drop off the roof, go all the way around there to collect it and move back and get back into position before Virtus.Pro could realistically continue their push here. We still have the Maestro of Virtue in place on Cocktail. This is going to be no easy push. We're in for a bloodbath in round 12.
Or indeed in for a bloodbath in these last dying 25 seconds. There we go. Virtual will be taken down first as he tries to take the gunfight onto Shockwave. The Candelas are coming in as WTG drops through the skylight. Citizen is going to be able to stop him though, and that means 15 seconds. A double kill from Citizen. Is going to be able to go for more. Yes, he will. Triple kill and 4 kill from Citizen as he shuts them down completely by himself. Virtus.Pro absolutely destroyed. Citizen and G2 will proceed to the grand finals with a 1-map advantage and will secure themselves in a top 2 position already for the EU mini major, and with that take a lot of these SI points.
What a huge run we are seeing from G2 here in the August Major for EU. They are yet to lose a map and are looking unstoppable. Virtus.Pro certainly looked like they were capable at times there on Cafe, but ultimately G2 able to get themselves over the line, and this is something that I've said time and time again, Hap, and I love to see it when it happens. Great teams win games. Championship teams, they win the scrappy games. They win the ones where they really have to fight tooth and nail, and that's exactly what G2 have done. Citizen with a great finish there to get them over the line, and what a performance from them, and a well-earned 1-map advantage in the grand final. I don't envy anybody having to play them in this tournament.
I don't envy anybody either. G2 definitely looking strong, and even though it seemed like they were mortal, it seemed like VP might have been able to touch upon them here in Cafe and take it home, then suddenly Uno comes out with that jump out. We'll be wasting 30 seconds of one of the members of VP, and after that, Citizen, ready to stop that defuse, knew exactly what was going on and shuts them down one by one right after with the MPX. But man, what a game, what a series. We haven't seen much of the first map, but that second map, that definitely made up for it.
Certainly did. It was all the action that we needed, and that action is going to be broken down by our analysts, and we will pass over to them.
Thank you so much for passing it on to us, Ace. Yes, what an incredible map, number 2. Honestly, after Villa, being able to see the game is definitely a big positive, but having a second match that is so close between the two, second map on Cafe was so cool, I have to say. It got really close between them on the first half. It looked like VP really were trying whatever sites are humanly possible for them, and collecting 4 rounds on the defense is pretty darn good considering the fact that Monty, Wamai, and Goyo are banned, all 3 of the operators that we talked about in the pre-show.
Yeah,
it's almost like we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's so nice to occasionally been proven right. It's like you say, these are the ones to watch out for, and the game is like, no. We cannot let these through. Yeah, it was a game of retakes and heartbreak. It was so well played by both teams. Obviously, it's fallen into the favor of G2, but the way Virtus.Pro played on that map was really, really stellar, and obviously some unbelievable moments from them.
Oh, Rask, oh, beautiful.
Yeah, mate, that's one of the ones that defined the tournament, I think, and it's the patience that he showed as well, which was the beauty in that one. But kind of looking at the larger picture, those 2 rounds that G2 took, one of them was just Kanto popping off and getting a 3K. These are things that are going to happen. Someone's going to step up and drag you over the finish line, whether you like it or not. That second half was where it got really spicy, all being focused around the Ying. G2 clearly knew it was coming. They brought the Warden along more than once to make sure they were ready for it. and almost managed to make it work. Just almost, but G2 just seemed a little bit too prepared for it, I think. And this is what I mentioned earlier on at the start of the map draft, was saying, yes, they go into each other's maps. Very clearly, it's because they've watched those games back, they know what they like to do, and they've got counters in mind.
Yeah. It's one of those things as well, if you're going to talk about people getting multiple kills in multiple situations, even up to the dying end, it was a back and forth in terms of body count. It was a 4K from the UK legend, Ben Citizen McMillan, that ended up a game of those kind of moments, those kind of stellar plays, those kind of standouts. It was one of the things I said before about Virtus.Pro is you have a steady in Pasha, you have sparks of brilliance in the others. We got tastes of that. We got a flavor of that in the second map. If it had pushed to a third map, I think Virtus.Pro would have stepped up. And the lesson here for them, and obviously for BDS upcoming, is you've just seen a team getting hotter and hotter and hotter.
Exactly. That next game between Virtus.Pro and BDS is definitely a big and hot one. I don't know if it was Ace that was talking about it yesterday, but expectations for the lower bracket match are pretty high and very understandable. BDS are going to come in fresh. There's going to be some downtime, of course, between these two games, just to allow VP some breathing room for them to get ready for the next game. But overall, what are the positives that we take out of this entire series from Virtus.Pro in preparation for their next match in the lower bracket, Des?
Well, what's the positive you take away? Pasha. Map number 1 was all Pasha, and I said it at the time, the rest of his team have got to step up. We did have quite a few rounds on this map where they did step up and make themselves known, but I think on that second half, lights were just coming up G2 all the way through. There wasn't really enough depth coming out of them, but we said the same thing about BDS yesterday. I think every single team, or both teams so far, that have faced off against G2 have been made to look weak because G2 are just looking so good right now. So I don't put this down as Virtus.Pro being bad. Those last couple of rounds, entirely on Uno with the spawn peaks. Well, not really spawn peaks, more the jump outs, I guess. But you're never going to be able to expect those every single time. I think against BDS, you've got to watch out for those for someone like Shaiko. But for the most part, I think they're going to have a little bit of an easier time against BDS. I honestly don't know which way to call that series.
Okay, let's go for our interview then. We have Citizen on the line, and once that's done, we will come back for our conversation. Hello, Citizen. Ben, congratulations on your victory. You're on to the grand final of the EU Major.
Thank you, Milos.
So, guys, you know, you're sitting in with the crew. You guys are prepared since yesterday. Had this conversation with Uno, and he says, you know what, we don't really care who we face off against. We're prepared no matter what you throw at us. Shots and Sua have us covered. Still the vibe, I guess.
Yeah, it's still the vibe. We don't care who we play. We're going to beat them.
It doesn't matter. At this point, you've beaten both of the teams that are going to the lower bracket. Do you think that there's any weaknesses, some things that you would like to work on for your team and or your own performance or whatever in preparation for that grand final?
Not really. Maybe just stop dying first. But that's not really a big issue, so...
Fair enough. Okay, well, you look at maps overall, so let's take a look at that from the beginning. Villa, Cafe, Theme Park. Theme Park, a difficult map for a lot of teams, but it looks like G2 is more comfortable in that. Had that chat about it yesterday. Villa, Cafe. Tight games overall. Was this what you were expecting from at least the coach's point of view, what maybe Shasta and Sue had prepared?
Yeah, I think we was prepared for... Well, I mean, we're prepared for any map, basically. You know, we're not really, like, hiding away any maps right now. You know, we're just kind of vibing towards it. You know, you just pick a map, we play, we don't care what it is. You know, just... Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah,
take it as it goes. Well, Villa, unfortunately for us, we didn't get to watch a lot of it. So you guys were in it. You guys were very much immersed in it. Talk me through those first 6 attacking rounds, because overall, very attacker favorite. 10 out of the 11 rounds were attacker favorite. A weird Villa, given the usual win rate of defense on the map. What was going on there? It's very scary to see attackers doing so well on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone's like so focused on Villa defense being so strong when, I mean, we just showed it today that Villa attack is even stronger at the minute. So, yeah, first like 4 rounds I weren't shown. I mean, we kind of just like, I think Jake clutched a 1v2, you know, hit some nutty shot, and Claymore the last guy. And the other 3 rounds, it was like 3v1s and stuff like that. Like, we was kind of just slaughtering them at that point.
So I guess the key to attacking on Villa is to really outflank the defenders. Would you say that's the case?
I'd say it's more just fight them head on as if...
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. If that is the G2 way, then so it will be. Now, that was more on map 1. On map 2, things were a bit more difficult at the start on Cafe. On the first half, VP kind of had the advantage of 4-2 on their defense. Now, we talked about some of the operators that would be banned or would have a big effect. Monty Wamai and Goyo removed. Do you think that Monty Wamai ban had an effect on your lineup and what you wanted to bring?
No, not really, because most teams are banning Montaigne against us for some reason, so we're just kind of like accepted it now. Like, yeah, we won't play Monty. And I mean, the Wemai ban, I mean, it's basically the same. Everyone's banning Wemai as well because of how overpowered he is.
Yeah, I mean, makes a lot of sense, right? Cafe, Wamai, Goyo ban. You guys banning the Goyo is definitely something that hurts VP more than a lot of people think, specifically on Cafe Dostoyevsky, at least from my point of view. I don't know if you echo that.
Yeah, I mean, they run it like basically every time they play Cafe, so we just thought might as well just get out of the way.
All right, that said, on map 2, yeah, you ended up bringing the Warden. Were you really expecting that Ying to come out from VP?
Yeah, because I remember last time we played him wasn't this season, it was the season before we played him on Cafe. And it was the same, like they picked the Ying, but they picked the Ying last time and Sick picked it onto something else, but this time they actually like stuck the Ying. So I think we was more prepared. That's why we picked the Warden, because we knew it's going to happen.
Okay, fair enough. Well, final question, I guess. When it comes to going for those runouts early on in the round, what sort of information do you try to use to kind of prep for them?
We actually didn't have any info. Just kind of just YOLO'd out and hope for the best. So yeah, I don't know if he's allowed to play Pro League still, but
yeah, I didn't think that those were allowed in professional play, but I guess they are. So thank you for that heads up, Citizen. I'll definitely keep that in mind for our next scrims. But
okay, no problem.
That said, anything you'd like to say to all the G2 fans out there, old and new? Grand finals now position for you guys.
Yeah, we just want to say thank you for the ongoing support, obviously. You know, I think it is really helping us play like well, seeing everyone like supporting us, everyone saying like how good we're playing, how they like everyone here. So yeah, I just can't say enough, but thank you.
Okay, well, Citizen, thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow in that grand final. You said it doesn't matter who you play against. He's so pretty, isn't he? He's a handsome man. Let's be completely honest. But come tomorrow, we'll see you playing in that grand final. One map advantage. You've beaten already both of the teams that are now in the lower bracket and will be fighting against you tomorrow. Very few things can stop G2, but again, it's Siege. Who knows? We'll see you tomorrow, Ben. Thank you so much again.
See you later. Thank you.
Bye.
Do you ever feel like you're completely overwhelmed by the UK Massive, Milos?
Why? What do you mean? Why?
You go from one
We're
interview
everywhere.
with one member of it, you come back here and there's two of
There's
us
just
here.
so
like, you're a
many.
bit stuck with
It's
it.
almost
UK
like
takeover.
it's almost like you're the only ones on this general continent that speak English as a mother tongue. I mean, don't quote me on that. I'm no geographical whatever or whatever they call it. You know, I'm not. I'm no
people
geologist.
you're a geologist.
I'm no geologist. Yeah, there you go. That's ace. That's
Unbelievable.
ace when it comes to geology.
I love, by the way, what Citizen was saying there was basically, you know, don't care who it is, just line them up and we'll knock them down, because they know, and this is a mentality you need to have, right? Is that ultimately to be the best, you've got to beat the best, and that includes everyone that exists below the best as well. So their stance of just line them up and we'll knock them down. Perfect. That is a champion's mentality, and they're playing like it as well. It's unbelievable how well they're doing here compared to the regular squad.
Yeah, and of course, for a lot of people that might be asking who is Ben, Ben is Citizen. We just use his first name because we're tight like that, you know, just good friends with pro players. Not
I'm pretty sure I started that copy pasta probably about not even 2 years ago now. Back when they were still M&M, I was just like, yeah, I know
I know
Ben.
Ben Citizen McMillan.
But you know, there it is. Let's revive the old school copy pasta.
I honestly call him Ben. Well, he's the only player I think I call by their first name more than I do their in-game name, and it's a terrible habit to get into. I'm trying to call him Citizen from now on. We'll see how well we do.
All right, in preparation for our next match, Virtus.Pro goes up against BDS. BDS coming in fresh for this game. Big teasers. What's the down low for that one, Em?
I mean, you're looking at BDS, who were a team that they started slow yesterday, and obviously it was a tough game. They brought Consular back very, very well. Then they went up against Rogue, and Shaiko started to show up too, which is always good when this talisman player does actually begin to show up. But at the same time, they weren't quite firing at the same caliber that they were throughout the season. As unfortunately so were Rogue, but Rogue were the lesser of the two giants yesterday and disappeared. BDS have had a sleep, they've had a time to think, they've had time to reevaluate and time to get themselves back together. Hopefully we see the Bree that is of legend from the beginning of the season, if you're a BDS fan. Otherwise, you might be pushed aside by a Virtus.Pro that, as we said before, they're starting to get cooked.
They got demolished by a very, very good G2 side, to be fair. And Shiro had a wonderful day, arguably one of the best games I think I've ever seen him play. I mentioned back at the start, Shaiko, Brede, 10 and 15, both of them across their maps yesterday. Really not the kind of outcome you want when those are two of your talisman players on this lineup. They need to come up big in the next game. We can't afford another quiet day. Hopefully against Virtus.Pro they get a bit more freedom, because that's when I think personally they shine the most.
All right, guys, thanks so much for that input. That was game number 1, our first best of 3 series of the evening. One more to go still. It's a lower bracket matchup. We're going to take a bit of a longer break for this one, just to give some time for Virtus.Pro to relax and be ready for that game, and then we'll come back. VP versus BDS after this break.
Drop the bomb.